Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here in City Hall. The November 25th, 2019 City Council meeting of the full City Council will come to order. It's 2:00 p.m. I'm Bruce Harrell, President of the Council. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Pacheco.
Here.
Sawant.
Here.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez.
Here.
Herbold.
Here.
Juarez.
Here.
Mosqueda.
Here.
O'Brien.
Here.
President Harrell.
Here.
9 present.
Thank you very much. If there's no objection, today's introduction and referral calendar will be adopted. Hearing no objection, today's introduction and referral calendar is adopted. And similarly, if there's no objection, today's agenda will be adopted. Hearing no objection, today's agenda is adopted. There are no minutes for approval today. Presentations, I'm not aware of any presentations this afternoon. Glad we got the doors open. At this time, we'll take public comment on items that appear on today's agenda, our introduction referral calendar, or our work program, or our budget. The public comment will be accepted for 20 minutes, and the speakers are limited to, well, let's see how many we have here. So we don't have, say again?
About 23.
Okay, so why don't we go a minute and a half and split the baby a little bit. And I had some requests to take it down to a minute, but we only have about 2 pages, so we want to hear from everybody if we can. And so get your notes ready for a minute and a half, and we'll start on the order that with which you've signed, and I'll just start to call you off one at a time. We're going to try to get both microphones in place. So Ron Cole, you are first, Ron, and Kara Alderson. Kara, if you don't mind coming over to our right, your left, you'll be second, and then Julie Davis back in the middle. Okay, please proceed.
Hi, my name is Ronco Cole. I've been a nurse at Swedish Medical Center for 21 years. I'm one of 8,000 workers at Swedish who have authorized our bargaining team to call for a strike. Our goal is a fair contract, but we are willing to strike if needed. We are part of a coalition of 15,000 Providence St. Joseph's Health employees from around Washington State who are all ready to strike. Workers who are standing up to Providence and saying, enough. It's important that our community, supporters like yourselves, understand that we are in crisis and understand why we are standing up for our patients. We need contract commitments from Swedish Providence for safe patient care. Because of the staffing cuts that Providence have made at Swedish, it is no longer safe to get care there. It is no longer safe for myself or my coworkers. More and more, we are being injured and assaulted at work. The cuts Swedish Providence have made are too deep. We need wages and benefits that will recruit and retain qualified staff. We currently have over 700 employee vacancies at Swedish Providence. Nowhere else is it like this. We are in crisis. We are also advocating for racial justice so that every worker, patient, and community member who comes to Swedish Providence will be treated with respect and dignity that they deserve. We'd like to thank you, the City Council, for considering to take a stance. It is essential that our community understands what is happening at Swedish Providence, and with your support, we can win. We can win on patient safety, we can win our fair wages and benefits that recruit and retain staff, and we can win on racial justice because there is no economic justice without racial justice. Thank you, City Council.
Thank you, Ron. Do I have Kara's not here, so we're going to keep going, and if someone sees Kara, just flag her, to me at least. Julie Davis, and then Imogene Williams.
Hi, my name is...
Let's everybody come here.
Ready? Okay. So I'm speaking for Seattle Rideshare Drivers Association. So we have a big group. My name is Julie Davis. I'm the spokesperson for the Seattle Rideshare Drivers Association, a nonprofit, and I'd like to thank Councilmember Shama Sawant for helping organize the drivers. I would also like to thank Councilmember Mike O'Brien for meeting with us. We urge you to vote for Councilmember Sawant's amendment to expand the Driver Resolution Center into a Driver Solidarity and Resource Center. The Resolution Center, which is the mayor's proposed legislation, is a good start, but it's not enough. It's only a Band-Aid to the true needs of this driving community. In addition to a deactivation resolution, drivers need many other things like meeting space for drivers to come together and advocate for themselves, multilingual workshops and training on TNC company policies and customer service, tax and financial training, voter registration and voter rights training, immigration and naturalization assistance, driver, family assistance and support services, counseling, mental health care, and suicide prevention services, English language training and education. A driver solidarity and resource center is the solution to the driver's problems and will address the issues at the root cause of the problem. Drivers come from diverse communities. Once you pass this legislation, we look forward to working with our communities and with the Teamsters to build a strong voice for all drivers and develop recommendations for funding this driver solidarity and resource center, as the amendment calls for. We as drivers are taxed, ticketed, tolled, penalized, discriminated against, and bullied. We are exploited by Uber and Lyft, whose executives make millions while we struggle to pay our bills. But we are organizing and fighting back. You have seen our faces. You know our name.
Are you about to finish? How many are speaking from your group? Just you?
Just me.
Okay, so take a few extra minutes there.
More than 300 drivers have signed our petition calling for a driver solidarity and resource center. United drivers will have power and voice, and the Solidarity and Resource Center is how we can achieve it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is Imogene here? She is. I don't. Where you see her?
Yeah, she's hiding.
Oh, she's hiding in the back. So Imogene, after Imogene will be Art Grant.
I want to thank Councilmember Sally and all of you for funding the Youth Consortium, Creative Justice, and the Rainier Beach Action Coalition. I'm grateful that you are funding those to help our young people, but what about the summer school? The idea of the summer school is about kids that are struggling. Let's give them a lift to catch up. That was the idea of the summer school. Why isn't it a good idea? We don't have enough tiny house villages. It's cold out there. People die out there. I don't have to tell you that the tiny house villages are successful in helping homeless people transition out of homelessness instead of just being homeless for year after year, and maybe the kids, they are able to, there's a high rate of transition out of homelessness to housing. And we need a lot more housing anyway. We don't need just 1 or 2 or 3 tiny house villages. We need a lot of tiny house villages. So I hope you will revisit that and the summer school.
Thank you, Imogene. I have Art Grant. I saw Art there, and then following Art is Barbara Finney. And Barbara, if you don't mind making your way to this microphone, we'll get them both in play.
Hey, Mr. President.
Hi, Mr. Grant.
How are you?
Well.
And the City Council. I am Art Grant. I'm a retired Harvard-trained lawyer, and I drive with Lyft and Uber for fun. I'm speaking on 24 to 27, and I'm a low-time driver. I've only got 4,000 rides. But I've looked at this issue of these ordinances, and detaching them means that they're not a package. And that can always present a problem. But when you look at number 24, it refers to this money to be collected as a fee. But when you go to 25, it's called a tax. And I think that it should be straight through, but I don't believe it should be a tax. It should be a surcharge, because it's just the city taking some money, and it probably should be charged on the drop end instead of on the front end, because drivers really are employees. We don't handle money, we don't do billing, and we don't even know how it's figured. And when you get into situations of pooled rides, you know, it gets really bizarre on how you get paid, because the passengers complain that their ride doesn't make any sense when they add up their rides together as to what's being quoted. But more importantly, Uber and Lyft aren't viable, and they haven't shown that they can be. And you want to actually tax them. You know, I think that you need to work with these organizations and have all the stakeholders meet, because right now the stock market's betting that they're not going to survive in their current format, and then you're going to throw a tax on top.
Thanks, Mr. Grant. Thank you for your testimony. Barbara Finney will be followed by Anna Lee Day is going to follow Barbara.
Hi, Council. My name is Barbara Finney, and I live in District 5, and I have been here multiple times with the people's budget issues. I want to, led by newly elected Councilmember Sawant's office, and I want to say how proud I am to be part of that. I ask council members to show your support for youth of color and zero youth detention. Vote yes to restore funding to the restorative justice budget packet. Fund it to $523,000. Do not give any of those funds to SPD. The school to prison pipeline is real, and we all have responsibility to end it. The RJ packet includes projects like Up From the Table, an arts-based alternative to incarceration, and a fully funded restoration justice package will have life-changing impacts on hundreds of youth of color, with positive effects rippling through working families and neighborhoods all across Seattle. I heard a rumor that you may have come to agreement on passing this, and I hope that's true, and thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Annalie Day. I'm a medical assistant at Planned Parenthood. I'm a shop steward for my union, UFCW 21, a member of Socialist Alternative, and a West Seattle resident. I'm speaking today in support of the council fully funding the community-based restorative justice programs. And I also want to say that on behalf of Socialist Alternative and as a union member, that we're behind the workers at Swedish Providence. And if you guys go out on strike, we will be out on the picket lines with you. The progress that's been made in committing to fully funding the restorative justice programs has been the result of hard work on behalf of the People's Budget Movement, communities of color, young activists of colors who have linked up with Councilmember Sawant's office to demand that Seattle prioritize restorative justice. If we win full funding for community passageways, creative justice, and the corner greeters program, it will be an important step for Seattle to show its commitment to restorative justice, but we know that it isn't nearly enough to address the racial inequality in our city. So we should continue organizing immediately so that next year we can win even more for restorative justice. Imagine what it would look like to actually prioritize restorative justice. We wouldn't just be talking about $500,000, we would be talking about millions, and that's exactly what we should be fighting for in 2020. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug Dumas and Melissa Purcell. Doug and Melissa. Are you speaking as a couple together?
I think, Mr. President, I'm going to, if you don't mind, we represent the film and music industry, and we'd like to just let Melissa speak for us.
Okay, very good.
If she could have a couple of minutes extra, maybe a half hour.
I'm going to be brief today, actually.
Okay, go ahead. And then following you will be Destiny Evers and Alicia Kaysen.
Thank you, council members, for being here today. I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support through the last month or two of budget process here. I am the Northern Business Agent for IATSE Local 488. I am part of the Film Music Coalition. And we are here once again just to say thank you for your support and for your continued support. I think that there has been a huge misunderstanding between where this started and where we've landed. I think that we will continue to reach out to those that are concerned about equity and reaching underserved communities. I don't think that they are familiar with our labor unions and what sort of work we are looking to develop. And certainly it is a industry that is all about networking and all about knocking on doors. So we will continue to have those conversations with them, and we look forward to trying to grow more jobs and have the city's support in the film and music industries. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I have Destiny and Alicia signed on the same line. Are they here? Yes, come on forward, please. And following Destiny and Alicia will be Lisa Dugard.
Hello, my name is Destiny Evers, and this is Alicia Kaysen. We're here together. This is our first time speaking to City Council. We just wanted to speak in support of the restorative justice funding. We think that it's really important. We took time out of work today to speak in support of it, and thank you for considering it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, before you begin, let me call two more names out. Omari Tahir, and then Nikita Oliver. Omari and Nikita, following Lisa. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I wanted to be here to express profound thanks on behalf of all of the partners with the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program for this council's really visionary step toward making sure that there is always a choice and no one has to go to jail or be pushed through the criminal legal system because there is no immediately available, well-planned and organized alternative. It really did take vision and resolve in ways that are obvious and not so obvious. And I want to specifically call out some of you I may not have a chance to thank again for this work. Councilmember Bagshaw, Councilmember Pacheco, Councilmember Harrell, Councilmember O'Brien. It's not just been this decision, but really years of labor for many of you. And there are not words for how grateful we all are for your leadership. And then for those of you we will see next year, Councilmembers Herbold, Gonzalez, Sawant, Mosqueda, and Juarez, I really want to make a strong commitment that we will do everything within our collective power to make sure that we are delivering what you are asking from this strategy. Finally, I wanted to lend strong support and appreciation for the apparent decision to invest in Community Passageways, Creative Justice, and Rainier Beach Action Coalition. No one does more extraordinary work creating alternatives in that realm, and we will not see zero youth detention until there is a pragmatic alternative available. That's what those organizations are developing, so thank you for your leadership in that way as well.
Thank you. Is Omari here? I don't see Omari. So, Ms. Oliver, please come forward. And following Ms. Oliver will be Dominique Davis. Dom, you could have the other mic, and please proceed.
Well, good afternoon, Council. I'm actually really excited to be here. I'm not always excited to come to Council Chambers, but today I am to say thank you. After a lot of organizing and a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails, seeing the restorative justice package be fully funded means a ton to us and our community partners. And what I want to ask is that next year as we enter into the budget session, that instead of spending our valuable time organizing community to advocate council to invest in programs that are working, that you all decide to invest in those programs up front so that we can actually continue doing the work that we are able to do effectively. And like Lisa said, achieving zero youth detention is going to require a huge investment in alternatives to incarceration and alternatives to policing. And if that's more than a resolution, it's going to require a budget commitment. Our budget is a value statement. It says who and what we value, where we put our money tells you who in the city we intend to see stay here and intend to see healthy. And I firmly believe that when we pull from the margins of our city and we lift from the bottom, the whole of our city is actually that much healthier. And I take so much issue with the continued discussion, Lisa, that the police need more money. And I have to say that to you personally. The police have a $409 million budget, and in the community that I live in, they do so much more harm than good. And it's folks like Coach Dom and I and the team that we partner with that are healing our communities and getting us to a place where public safety is for everyone, not just the people the police protect.
Before you begin, let me call the next speaker. It'll be Mary Diggs Hobson. Will follow Dominique Davis. Thank you, sir.
First of all, how you doing, Council? I want to thank you for supporting this bill fully. I am excited about the work we're getting ready to do with this funding. You just opened up the door for about 50 kids, 50 youth and young adults to be able to have some services and opportunities that they normally wouldn't have. This funding is supporting projects. We did a wonderful project downstairs when we did the local candidate forum, and those kids put that all together. We want to do a couple more coming up when the next election cycle comes around, and we also have these kids writing their first proposal on transitional living facilities that they said they need in South Seattle. And they're writing it on their own, in their own words, and we'll be setting up meetings with individual council members, and you'll have an office full of young people talking to you about what they need in their community. And this is them being engaged in the local government and learning about how it operates and being interested in it at a young age. And hopefully one day they'll be sitting up in those seats one day. That's one of the goals that we have. Yeah, funding the police officers, funding law enforcement, all that stuff. My goal is to put us in a position where you don't even think about doing that no more, to show you enough success stories and a high success rate that comes very low on your totem pole. That we want to be able to have enough funding to be able to help hundreds of thousands of young people throughout these next few years. And with the kind of money that the law enforcement has, we could do that. I also want to talk about the opportunities for employment that you guys are opening up for these young people. These young people are getting stipends every meeting that they come to. They're getting paid $100 every meeting, every time they come together. So they're making $400, $500, $600 a month being engaged in positive activities. And I thank you guys for that.
Thank you, Dom. Mary, before you begin, I want to say, Omari, I just recognize you coming in, so you could follow this group. I believe you may need a little time. We called your name earlier, you weren't here, but I recognize you to speak after this group, sir. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, President Harrell, and also council members. My name is Mary Diggs Hobson. I'm the Executive Director for African Americans Reach and Teach Health Ministry, or ARTH for short. And I'm here today with representatives from our staff and our partners in support of our emergency funding request. Our staff is Linda Chasteen and also Deja Barrows, and then our community partners.
Muget Gideguez, the Executive Director of NAMI Seattle, the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Sarah Savage, Program Manager for Mountain West AIDS Education and Training Center.
Thank you. So basically, we're just here to talk about the organization since we requested funding. ARTH has been around since 2002, and our purpose, we started out because of our need to have culturally relevant health information around HIV and AIDS, which was a disease that was ravaging the Black community in the early 90s. And there was no real culturally relevant information in the community for our people. And so we started the organization, particularly to educate our community about the need for support and services for Black sisters and brothers who are dying of AIDS. And so our mission is to increase the capacity in the community around not only HIV and AIDS education and training for community folks, but providers, as well as patients and consumers. And we are doing some work right now in several different organizations and community and clinics across the city and the county. We also provide what's called chronic disease self-management training, and that is to train individuals in the community to have the capacity to continue to sustain the work around diabetes, cancer, and chronic pain. And we're doing that work in places like Bailey Boucher House, where we are doing a health equity and social justice in HIV care for changing the culture of the organization to actually provide services that help to engage clients of color, particularly African Americans. The other work that we're doing is with our mental health partner, which is NAMI, the National National Alliance on Mental Illness, to help increase awareness in the community about mental illness, to decrease silence and the stigma that surrounds mental illness. And so this is just a small example of the work that we're doing and the need for sustained funding to continue this work in our community. I know my time is about up. So we respectfully request that the full council, City Council, support our request for continued funding for the important work that we're doing in the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll recognize Omari Tahir to speak, and then after that speaker, we'll hear from Michael Reeves, R-I-E-B-S.
President Bruce Harold, I'd like to speak on corruption. I had an opportunity to know 20 to 30 policemen before they were police, and while they were police, and some of them is in nursing homes, they have had strokes. Half the team I quarterbacked out of Shoreline College in 1964 and 65 got on the police department. Mark Amundsen became the spokesman for the police department. But as their quarterback, they always, you know how it is, your quarterback is kind of your leader. But I wanted to address the issue that a policeman should only be allowed to be a policeman for 5 years. During that time, they have to go to school and get their teaching certificate. Because if you go on the internet, being a policeman in this culture is working in a toxic environment. And every day when you wake up, you don't know whether you're going to come home. And then if you go through a domestic violence, you know, when you knock on the door, you don't know whether you're going to get shot. And the husband is lying on the wife is lying on the husband, and next week they're all hugged up. So I'm making a recommendation that the police be more democratized and get more people involved in being police. And I think everybody should go to the police academy.
Thank you, sir. Following Michael will be Abdullah. Is it B-A-Y-O? Please proceed, sir.
Good afternoon, council members. I am very happy to see.
So Mike, you're right in the middle of both mics. You got to take one of the other. There you go. Start the time over, please.
As someone who has fought for drivers with transportation network companies, have helped drivers who have become deactivated in the past for a variety of unfair reasons, I'm very happy to see the initiatives that the city is now creating to form a resolution center and some standards for activating or deactivating drivers. I hope that the City Council will consider all available options for such, and not only Teamsters. As you may recognize, I've been here before speaking out against the Teamsters' involvement in the driver organization ordinances that we had in the past. We have a couple of other initiatives in the process, including our Driver Solidarity and Resource Center that you heard about earlier. Eric Palmer has been here in the past speaking of another initiative that we're working on. Organizations that are created by drivers, which would be in support of these ordinances and resolutions that you are now proposing. I personally reached out to both Councilman O'Brien and Councilwoman Sawant in February when Uber chose to cease the surges that we had, as drivers, had counted on as part of our income. Unfortunately, I didn't hear back from either of them, and unfortunately, Uber has chosen to still continue to charge passengers at much higher rates than drivers experience. So the rate regulations would also be welcomed by drivers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Abdullah.
Good afternoon. My name is Abdullah Bayo. I'm a Uber and Lyft driver. I'm a member of Seattle Rideshare Driver Association. We need driver solidarity and resource center, and I urge to support Councilmember Sawant's proposal and dedicated at least half of all rideshare tax revenue toward the Driver Solidarity and Research Center. As you know, we all have a family. We take this job over as our full-time. That's how we feed our family. That's how we pay our rents. That's how we live on. No other job beside that. We work out of our home before anyone wake up to try to take people to where they're going to make our living better, overtaking advantage of that. As a ride, you know it. When they charge the customer, we're not even getting half of that, including the high price that they charge in high percentage. They're charging the drivers. We own our cars, we pay the rent, insurance, we pay our gas, and our effort in the car all day long. We're not making no money. In these days, it become Uber. As the law said, if we are independent drivers, we do what we need to do in the job. They control us. The name is there as independent driver, but it's not exist. We need our right. So support us. And those who are no longer being here, it's Michael and Bruce and Abel and Sally. We thank you for all you do for us since you start with us here. And we hope to have some member who will take your spot to be with us and to support us also. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So I have Abdi Shire. Is it R-E? After that, is it Reb Walker or Reb Walken on? I can't make that one out. Abdi, Reb, Carl Nelson, and Sarah Stallmar. So Abdi. Well, she may know who she is or he. Go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. I would like to request more people if you could give me 4 minutes, Mr. President.
No, we're going to take it down to, I recognize Julie from before. So let's just go 2 minutes and see what we could do.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President, City Council President, and as well as all members of our councils. I would like to clarify I'm Abdi Shure with the Seattle Rideshare Driver Associations that we are not against with the Teamster. We would like to work with the Teamster. As a drivers, we are in one platform, and we need a driver solidarity resource center. I argue all of you, council member, to support and add the legislation which our council member Shama Sawant proposed. We know that the proposal of fair share Mayor Duncan proposed is only one resolution center. She is suggesting that is a cure. It's not, and this driver solidarity resource center could be prevention, where we could have more programs, deactivation. Before a car, we can train drivers. Furthermore, all these, you see, beautiful drivers, they are the ambassador of the city, and they have fair share to be treated, since we are the first contact people of the city. And we would like to thanks for those 4 members of President of Council, Bruce, Marco Bryan, and Albel and Sally for the tremendous time you did for our city. And we're looking forward as a member of the City Council and as the new camera of the City Council to work with them. And we want to be part of this Seattle Buy, since we are, majority of these people are minority and immigrant community. We are asking to be part of Seattle. That's what we're asking. And we would like to thank you for your service and to be considered to support and add the amendment language into the proposal, which our council member Shama Sawant proposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, Reverend Walden.
Couldn't read my chicken scratch, eh?
I couldn't. Before you begin, Reverend Walden, let me make sure Carl Nelson and Sarah Stallman would follow Reverend Walden.
Good afternoon. I say my name is Reverend Harriet Walden. I'm speaking here in my position as Mothers for Police, Executive Director of Mothers for Police Accountability. And I just want to say right off the bat that I am also speaking and channeling Harriet. If you haven't seen her, you must go so we can all have courage. You know, it gives us courage if you go see that and you live without fear. So I encourage everyone to go see Harriet. And since I'm named for her, I'll use my voice for courage today. And I want to thank the City Council for voting for LEAD, for restorative justice and all the programs in the South Seattle that's going to make life better for our youth. And also I want to take this opportunity to thank Councilmember Harrell, Bagshaw, and O'Brien for all the times that you all have worked with us and over the years. And I want to wish you happy adventures and your next vistas in your life. I also want to welcome the baby on the dais. We see the baby. We say welcome to the new generation of organizers already in the blood. That's a good sign for Seattle. Is that right, y'all? All right, let's give a clap for the baby. All right, let's give a clap for the baby. And another baby is coming. I know that. So we'll have 2 babies on the dais. I mean, really, we're going to make history here in Seattle. So actually, my talk today is just by gratitude. And I'm thankful. I'm grateful that you all had the courage to include this and to vote full, even though opposition might have been there. And it takes courage to stand up for opposition. Also, while I have the mic here, I just want to also announce on December 5th, there's going to be a community hearing here with the City Council, the Community Police Commission, public hearing about SPOG, and that's the Seattle Police Officers Guild contract. And so inviting everyone here to come back out on December 5th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend Walden.
Hello, my name is Sarah Stallman, and I'm fairly new to Seattle. And I'm a doctor. And what I have to say is a very small piece of a very big issue that many people have already been talking about. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I will say that listening to Nikita Oliver, it seems very important to me that we think forward and spend our money wisely for the youth of this city that will run us. And now I'm going to talk about my little tiny piece. I was a practicing doctor for about 20 years, and my focus was patient care. That's all I cared about. And what I saw was beautiful, happy, joyous little children growing up to be frightened, uptight, scared, money-focused adults at best, and often incarcerated people. And I didn't understand what happened to children, and I wanted to understand. And I found out. And it's on my website, and there are signs up, and if you want to see it, it's fine. But fundamentally, the big issue is children need 3 things when they're little. I'm talking to you and your baby. They need guidance, and sometimes that means punishment. But they need loving guidance. They're new. They don't know what's going on. They need to be protected from terror. It causes lifelong panic, explosion. Children need to be protected from fear, and they need to play. And that's all they need. And what human beings do when they get that is they grow up to be joyous, sexually active, generous, honorable people. If they don't get that, they can't be, because they're limited by their own fears from childhood. So we are now looking at a world that is recognizing the value of youth. It is youth that is standing up for our climate and our planet.
Thank you.
Here in
Are you going to
Seattle,
wrap up, please?
youth is standing up to protect other youth. Please support and fully fund the community restorative justice programs. Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, I apologize.
That's fine. Thank you. So is Carl Nelson here or not? Carl, you're here. You are up.
Hi there. My name is Carl Nelson. I'm a 10-year resident of Seattle in District 4. And I wanted to speak in gratitude and thanks to the council for passing a complete restorative justice budget. By vocation, I am an animator and illustrator, and I've drawn my whole entire life, and that began very, very early for me. But my success in my profession is the product of significant investment and love and attention from my parents, teachers, and community at large. When our city has a budget, it is of course a moral document, and I think it's super important that we show as a city that we are willing to invest in the young people here in programs such as Creative Justice, which allows them to fully achieve the person that they need to be. Yeah, that's about it, but thank you so much. Please vote for the entire budget for restorative justice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I think we had a few late signups that we will entertain. And then, so we have 6 more folks here. So let's hear from Carol Isaac and then Kabibi Monet. Can you take that? I'm going to leave after that one. No. I'm sorry. Please proceed.
Oops, okay. I'm Carol Isaac, and my goal right now is not to cry. I want to prematurely, but my premonition feels good. Thank you all for giving this creative justice package your vote. It's really beautiful. And last night I was at a creative justice event, and I see leaders coming out of there. I see so much change. I'm just so grateful I can't stand it right now. Thank you all for that. And I want you to know, Bruce Harrell, I want to thank you for something you did a long time ago that I don't know if you even remember, but I bet you do. It was that day when this room, an afternoon, was just full of young people, and they were doing a show for you, a really good one, and council members were really leaving one by one, and you were the last one left. And we had our media turned off, so you only heard it, and I was so sorry it didn't get collected. And there were 2 speeches, one by a woman named Tracy, who was a Buddhist, a young black woman, and a woman named M.J. Wong, who is Chinese. And they were incredible speeches, and I know you heard them in your heart. I saw that day. Thank you for staying that day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your words. Following Kabibi will be Alden Carroll.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for all you're doing for Seattle. We really do appreciate it. My name is Kabibi Monet. I'm the executive director of New Black Arts West Theater, the oldest African-American theater company in the Pacific Northwest. And I speak on behalf of the people of the United States. All aboard! Like the powerful rumbling feel of a locomotive headed towards freedom, starting out slow and gathering speed. Take a knee, take a knee, take a knee, take a knee. Like the sound of a railroad car moving towards equality. Take a knee, take a knee, take a knee. I love your determination to be free, but why should I take a knee, take a knee? I know you've been dehumanized by a system full of all sorts of lies with false accusations and out humiliations fed to the world with determination to keep us down. Face down, on, and into the ground. Take a knee, take a knee, take a knee, take a knee. I stand accused of not setting you free, but I still see no reason to take a knee, take a knee, take a knee. Free to build and thrive, take a knee. Free to be alive, take a knee. Free from miseducation, free from misincorporation, all forms of appropriation, including misrepresentation, ongoing hateful discrimination, violence, and shameful discrimination. Take a knee, take a knee, take a knee. If you stand for peace, love, and harmony, take a knee. If you think that we should all be free of poverty, take the knee. If the murder of children in our schools is wrong, take a knee. If the killing of black people should not go on, been going on for far too long, take a knee, take a knee, take a knee. If this makes us right, stand up, be free, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kibibi. Alderman, before you begin, I just want to announce the next speaker, please. That'd be Allison Eisinger will follow Alden. Please proceed.
As you know, I have Tourette's. Thanks for understanding. Aiden, he, him, recent graduate. Thanks for standing up to the mayor to fully fund LEADS. If it needs more capacity later, please supplement it. Evidence is important, but that will come. Restorative justice is very important, and I'm glad you're funding that as well. Prisons and police are fossil fuels. Right now, we can try to use them as little as possible. We often don't have another option, and we can stop needing it entirely, almost entirely in a short time, if you fund the alternative that does the same thing with less harmful side effects. There's a wonderful quote about how it'll be a great day when the military has to hold a bake sale to buy a bomber, and because schools and social services are fully funded. Solidarity with everything we heard today. I know you're not looking at revenue today, but the good things aren't mutually exclusive. When we live in one of the wealthiest cities in human history, it doesn't have to be a head tax, let alone the same kind, that we know there are tweaks and stand ready to explain them to our neighbors for you. John Scott's campaign identified a whole bunch of potential progressive revenue streams, and I hope you can pick up some of those next year, because that creates false choices. The only limited capital is political, and we'll try to fundraise that for y'all. So thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. Alice, after Allison, and forgive me, but it looks to me like Yin Yu, if you can please come up to the microphone. And last is White King Garrett.
Good afternoon, council members. Allison Eisinger with the Seattle-King County Coalition on Homelessness. First and foremost, I'm here to say thank you to each and every one of you on behalf of the coalition's members. I have thank you cards here, which perhaps staff can hand out. They're even organized in order of the way you're sitting. And this is thanks not only for your work on a budget that prioritizes what the community has insisted is necessary, but also for your work in many cases for years to correct the process of how we budget in this city. I want to acknowledge and sincerely thank each of you for your work to bring more resources forward for affordable housing in this budget, for funding capital investments like the clinic that'll be named after Bill Hobson, legal services for youth, and the restorative justice package that you fixed over the weekend. Those are all tremendously important and necessary, and I'm grateful that you agreed to fund the Home for Good proposal, because I think you know as well as all of us that closing the gap between what people's limited incomes are and what rent costs is the way that we prevent and end homelessness. In the spirit of giving thanks, we are giving thanks, but in the spirit of a holiday that is founded on a lot of lies and historical inaccuracy, I also want to just take a moment to interject a little bit of truth that, again, you know as well as we do. Much of the additional investments that you have been able to make comes from one-time funding sources, and so this is putting a pin in the fact that we look forward to working with you, Councilmembers Herbold, Gonzalez, Sawant, Mosqueda, and Juarez going forward, and with Mayor Durkin. And I invite the council members who will not be sitting on the dais to join us in thinking about seriously how we generate the revenue and allocate it to meet our community's priorities going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last two speakers, Lynn and then Kay White King Garrett.
Hi, my name is Yin, she, her. I'm here in solidarity with Swedish workers and Uber drivers, and as I understand their struggles, that the cost of being here to be with you for 2 minutes is $20 parking for me. So I'm in solidarity with them. As part of Rainier Beach Restorative Justice Project, whom help implement circle process at Rainier Beach High School, I am grateful for the community to push the council to fund organizations that are helping to mediate the harms of schools and state-sanctioned violence. Zero youth detention resolution means defunding police. It means defunding courts. So we're here to remind you that you are here to serve those most marginalized, not the police union. And one-time funding is not enough. And I'm also here to plant the seed about MHA, since it's being up for review soon, a policy that allows 17-story building to be built in Chinatown International District, demolishing Busch Garden, which a lot of API community orgs were birthed out of, and not having tall buildings in white North neighborhoods. Make sure that the community is aware when it's time to come and talk to you. That is the important role of you, is to distribute information. Thank you.
Thank you. So our last speaker is K.Y. King Garrett.
Good afternoon, Council. K.Y. King Garrett, third generation community builder from Central District, Africatown. I'm here to speak in support of the people's budget, the importance of the work that the various organizations, community-based grassroots that are doing restorative justice. The way that we make the city safer is replacing negative culture with positive culture, and many of these groups, like Creative Justice and others, are doing that. And I think that's the most affordable, economical way to redirect young people who have gotten off their path to greatness. I also want to say thank you to Councilwoman Sawant for making sure the community is really participating, many people whose voices are left out, to all of the council members who have supported affordable housing initiatives, Councilwoman Mosqueda, Councilman Mike O'Brien, who's headed out, Councilman Harrell, and really say that Seattle is at a crossroads still. Is it going to be a world-class city that's inclusive of the communities of the world that have made this city, or a one-class city, which it is rapidly moving more towards that apartheid condition? And we need to take bold action with the political will. We know the resources are here, both the financial and intellectual capital is in this city. And it's important that projects like Africatown Plaza, which I think is maybe the only Black-led development project up for funding right now with the Office of Housing, moves forward. We would like your support on that. Fire Station 6 is still a blight on our community, where you're parking meter-made vehicles. It's not adding any economic vitality, any cultural vibrancy to the community, and we need to move forward with that, which was an original EDI project to repurpose the Fire Station 6 as a William Gross Center for Cultural Innovation and Enterprise, so that we can really connect the genius and brilliance that is in our community with the economic opportunities and knowledge-based economy that's around us. Thank you.
Thank you. Going to move to payment of the bills. Please read the title.
Council Bill 119705, appropriating money to pay out in claims for the week of November 11th, 2018 through November 15th, 2018, and ordering the payment thereof.
I will move to pass Council Bill 119705. It's been moved and seconded that the bill pass. Any comments? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and the chair will sign it. Please read the first agenda item.
The report of the City Council, Agenda Item 1, Resolution 31917, recognizing the importance of our healthcare workers, supporting the unionized workers of SEIU Healthcare at 1199 Northwest, exercising their right to strike and withhold their labor.
Councilmember Bagshaw.
Thank you very much. And colleagues, thank you for voting with me on this resolution. It's recognizing the importance of all of our healthcare workers and supporting the unionized workers of SEIU Healthcare 1199 Northwest to exercise their right to strike and withhold their labor. Clearly, these healthcare workers don't want to be doing that. We know their hearts. And for those of you who are in the audience, I just want you to know how much we appreciate you. I think that Allison Eisinger from my office is over there. Yes, Allison McLean, thank you. Allison Wright, my legislative aide, who I think I ought to know by now. Thank you for being here and for bringing this forward. And I am not blowing any secrets. You've been so honorable about this. Allison's baby was born at only 26 weeks. His name is Aiden Wright. And Aiden is in the hospital right now at Swedish, and we are doing everything, the family is doing everything that they can to take care of that little boy, and they need the nurses. So I am honored to bring forward this resolution and just let people know that this is about safety for patients and workers. It's about wages and benefits, yes, but mostly it's about the respect that they need and deserve, and we need these vacancies filled, and we need to take care of Aiden. So I ask to pass this resolution.
Thank you, Councilmember Bagshaw, and thank you for bringing this forward. Any comments, questions or comments from any of our colleagues? Councilmember Sawant.
Thank you, President Harrell. Needless to say, as an elected representative of working people and also as a rank and file teachers union member myself, I strongly support this resolution. And I'm in complete solidarity with SEIU 1199 Northwest and all the healthcare workers they represent. Over the last several months, my staff and I and many of the community supporters, we've all marched with Swedish Providence workers and learned about their struggles. We've learned about the chronic short staffing that Councilmember Bagshaw also mentioned that endangers patient safety, and about the healthcare workers who are in jeopardy of losing their own healthcare benefits because Swedish Providence wants to cut them. That's the irony we're facing here. It's outrageous that a healthcare system that operates 14 hospitals, hundreds of ambulatory care sites, and that generates $7.6 billion and pays its top 15 executives $41 million should treat its workers and our communities with such a cavalier attitude. Swedish Providence's profits before patients and caregivers attitude is precisely why we need to urgently fight for Medicare for all in this country. We need to put patients before profits, and if healthcare workers must strike and are forced to strike for a decent contract, it is entirely because of the failure of the Swedish Providence executives to support workers and patients. And if Swedish forces healthcare workers to strike, then Socialist Alternative and I will be on the picket lines, and I have no doubt many community members will be in support of you. And just very quickly on a personal note, this whole campaign, our re-election campaign that was so, massively attacked by the Seattle Times editorial board, all the corporate elite of the city, Amazon among them, it took a real toll on all the campaign activists, including myself. And the day after election night, my health and I don't usually share personal stuff, but I'm sharing this because it's relevant here. It's like my body got the memo that it's okay to fall sick. And I ended up in urgent care several times just in 15 days. And it's when you're truly vulnerable and you end up in a healthcare facility and you see the dedication and just the incredible caring with which the healthcare providers address your needs and the needs of everybody who's there, all the patients who are there. It's really palpable why we should all be standing with our healthcare workers. And so I'm proud to be standing with you.
Thank you, Councilmember Sawant. Councilmember Mosqueda.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I'm honored to be standing in solidarity with the 1199 workers from SEIU Healthcare Northwest. Today I'm honored to be standing with them in their call for a contract that respects the work that they do every single day, the care that they put into caring for their patients in our community. It will come as no surprise that I stand in solidarity with these workers as a longtime labor activist and union member. But today it's personal. Today I stand here with Camila, my daughter, who is healthy today because of the workers at SEIU 1199, the workers who helped to make sure that in the first 3 days of her life, they were there 24/7. It's those workers who came in every few hours to check her vitals, to make sure that she was healthy, who got the poop out of her lungs when she came out, to make sure that she was breathing, and to make sure that she was weighed and that she was clean and that we felt cared for. It's the workers in the delivery room, in the triage room. It's the folks who clean the room every day. It's the people who came in every single day, from the people who take out the trash to the ones who are making sure that all the stitches are put in there right. Those are the folks who make us healthy. The workers, SEIU 1199 Healthcare Northwest workers. Those are the folks who made us healthy. It wasn't the broken elevator that didn't work into our post-triage area. It wasn't the light that wouldn't turn on when we needed the post-delivery services. And it wasn't the hot water that didn't work in my sink that made it a great experience. It was the workers. When you're sitting on $23 billion in revenue, $11.3 billion in cash reserves, $780 million in profit, and an $11.5 million in compensation for the CEO, you would think that those things would be cared for: the elevator, the light, the hot water. But my God, we need our workers taken care of. When you are sitting on that much revenue, it is the workers who make that place function and make our community safe. So do it for the folks that we've heard about every single day. Do it for the workers who talk about not being able to afford to live in the city anymore because they don't get the compensation like I heard about. The people who talk about crying on the way to work every day because their schedules are getting messed with. The ratios, the nurse to patient ratios that haven't been adequately staffed, and the refusal to hear the nurses and the healthcare team when they say they need more adequate staffing. Do it for those folks who say that they used to love coming to work, that all they wanted to do was be a healthcare professional. Do it for them. Do it for folks like me, for mothers like Allison, for the folks who go to the NICU. Do it for the patients that they take care of. Respect your workers, and by respecting your workers, you will respect your community. Respect the bargaining process so no one ever has to worry about crossing the picket line, because we respect workers and we want that contract to be passed now. Do it for the workers. We honor you, SEIU 1199.
Well, does anyone dare speak after that? Thank you, Councilmember Mosqueda. I think we all felt that in the room and the viewing audience. Okay, I think that would be an appropriate signal for us to vote on this important legislation. So I will move to adopt Resolution 31917. Second. It's moved and second. Those in favor of adoption of the resolution, please vote aye. 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 Those opposed, vote no. The motion carries and the chair will sign it. Thank you. Okay. Please read the next agenda item.
Agenda item 2, Council Bill 119703, relating to city employment, authorizing execution of the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Seattle and the United Association of Journeymen and Apprentices of the Plumbing and Pipe Fitting Industry Local 32, and ratifying and confirming certain prior acts.
Councilmember Bagshaw.
Thank you very much. This legislation will authorize the execution of a council budget action between the City of Seattle and the United Association of Journeymen and Apprentices of the Plumbing and Pipe Fitting Industry. That's Local 32. We'd like to say hello to Leanne Geyer. The CBA is for a 3-year period from January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2021. It would affect the wages, benefits, hours, and other working conditions for approximately 150 employees in 3 city departments: Seattle Public Utilities, Seattle Department of Transportation, and Parks and Recreation. It is standard practice to refer this type of legislation from the Seattle Department of Human Resources through our Finance Committee directly to full council for consideration, and we appreciate the opportunity to move this forward today.
Thank you, Councilmember Bagshaw. Any questions or comments? Okay, I'll move to pass Council Bill 119703.
Second.
Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herpel.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and Chair will sign it. Okay, let me sort of describe what we're going to do with the Select Budget Committee items. I'm going to read them off in groups. We've broken them out into groups, sometimes 3 or 4 items, sometimes 2 or 3. And that'll give us a chance to get through it. And then where there might be a amendment or a comment, I'll pause and we'll get through it. And hopefully have a package. So we'll do that. So having said that, read the short title for items 3 and 4, and just 3 and 4.
The report of the Select Budget Committee, agenda items 3 and 4, Council Bill 119677, authorizing 2018 accepting of funding from non-city sources. Committee recommends the bill pass. Council Bill 119668, amending Ordinance 125724, which adopted the 2019 budget, including the 2019 through 2024 capital improvement program. The committee recommends the bill pass as amended.
Okay, we're going to vote on these individually. Starting with number 3. Any questions or comments on agenda item number 3, Council Bill 119667? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and Chair will sign it. Any questions on agenda item number 4? Please call the roll on the passage of Council Bill 119668.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed, Chair will sign it. So please read items 5 and 6.
Agenda items 5 and 6, Clerk File 314436, 2020 proposed budget. The committee recommends that the file be placed on file. Clerk File 314437, 2020 through 2025 proposed capital improvement program. The committee recommends that the file be placed on file.
Okay, on items 5, are there any comments? Those in favor of placing the clerk file on file, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, vote no. The motion carries and the clerk file is placed on file. With respect to item number 6, any comments? Those in favor of placing the clerk file on file, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, vote no. The motion carries and that clerk file is placed on file. So please read items 7 through 11, and you could read the short title if you'd like.
Agenda items 7 through 11, Council Bill 119669, relating to the fees and charges for permits and activities of the Seattle Department of Construction and Inspections. Committee recommends the bill pass. Council Bill 119670, an ordinance relating to the traffic code. The committee recommends the bill pass as amended. Council Bill 119671, relating to the Department of Parks and Recreation, establishing the 2019 through 2020 fee schedule. The committee recommends the bill pass. Council Bill 119672, relating to the solid waste system of Seattle Public Utilities. Committee recommends the bill pass. And Council Bill 119673, relating to contracting indefiniteness. Committee recommends the bill pass.
All right. We're going to start with 7. Any questions or comments? If not, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez. Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and Chair will sign it. On number 8, any questions or comments? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and Chair will sign it. Yeah, what? 671. So on number 9, are there any questions on number 9? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and Chair will sign it. I always had that confused look on my face there, Emil. You've caught that one. Number 10, any questions or comments? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien. President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passed and Chair will sign it. And number 11, any questions or comments? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passes, and then Cheryl will sign it. Let's go items 12 through 16.
Agenda items 12 through 16. Council Bill 119674 relating to the electric system of the City of Seattle. Committee recommends the bill pass. Council Bill 119675 relating to the financing of cable television franchise fund programs. Committee recommends the bill pass. Council Bill 119676 relating to the financing of equitable development implementation plan projects. The committee recommends the bill pass. Council Bill 119677 relating to the financing of the Central Waterfront Improvement Program. The committee recommends the bill pass. Council Bill 119678 relating to the financing of the Central Waterfront Improvement Program. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Thank you. On item number 12, any questions or comments? If not, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant. Bagshaw. Gonzalez. Herbold. Juarez. Mosqueda. O'Brien. President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed, and Cheryl will sign it. Number 13, any questions? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez. Herbold. Juarez. Mosqueda. O'Brien. President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed, and Cheryl will sign it. Number 14, any questions? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez. Herbold. Juarez. Mosqueda. O'Brien. President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed, and Cheryl will sign it. Number 15, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez. Herbold. Juarez. Mosqueda. O'Brien. President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passes, and Cheryl will sign it. Number 16, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez. Herbold. Juarez. Mosqueda. O'Brien. President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed, and Cheryl will sign it. So please read items 17 through 22.
Agenda items 17 through 22. Council Bill 119679 relating to the financing of the Mercer West project. The committee recommends the bill pass. Council Bill 119680 relating to the financing of the Seattle streetcar operations. The committee recommends the bill pass. Council Bill 119699 relating to the traffic code. The committee recommends the bill pass. Council Bill 119681 relating to the sweetened beverage tax revenues. Committee recommends the bill pass. Council Bill 119682 relating to the business license tax. Committee recommends the bill pass. And Council Bill 119683 relating to taxation. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Thank you. Any questions on any of these items 17 through 22? I won't keep asking if there are any questions if I don't see a question on the body of them. So 17, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez. Herbold. Juarez.
Wait, I
Mosqueda.
hear her in the other room. She's
Aye. That's me.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Correct. The bill passed, and Cheryl sign it. Number 18, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez. Herbold. Juarez. Mosqueda. O'Brien. President Harrell.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed, and Cheryl sign it. Number 19, please read the roll call on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez. Herbold. Juarez. Mosqueda. O'Brien. President Harrell.
Aye. Bill
8 in
passed.
favor, none opposed.
Bill passed, and Cheryl sign it. What number was that? I'm sorry. Was that 18? That was what? That was 19.
Good. She's ready for 20.
So 20, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez. Herbold. Juarez. Mosqueda. O'Brien. President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed, and Cheryl sign it. On number 21, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and Chair will sign it. Just one moment. And item 22, any questions? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien. President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passed and Chair will sign it. Just one moment. I'll just try to fix it now. Sure. But I just, let me ask what I can do. Okay. So let me give you these signed bills. We were going rather fast, and I want to show some flexibility if the rules allow that. I do have one council member that actually voted opposite how that member would like to vote because I went through it in a certain way. So what are my options now? Can I do a revote on a certain item? And we're talking about item number 19 that I sort of did through a little quickly.
We can do reconsideration, but
Do I do it at the end?
give me a quick second.
Well, and I can do it at the end. That's one possibility, so I apologize.
Can we proceed with the next item?
Okay.
And I'll get back
So we'll proceed as though, and we'll slow it down a little bit and figure out how we can correct the record on that one. For item number 19, we'd like to do a revote. Okay, so
We're on item 23.
we're on item number 23, and we'll take that one by itself, I believe. So why don't we read that one into the record?
Agenda item 23, Council Bill 119684 relating to taxation imposing a tax on transportation network companies. Committee recommends the bill pass as amended.
Okay, and this is the one I believe Councilmember Sawant has an amendment. I do have a question on not this amendment, but and I'll ask Councilmember Sawant directly. Your amendments are for numbers 23 and 25, but not 24, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so let's take 23 first. Has been read into the record, and Councilmember Sawant, would you like to explain your amendment?
Sure. Do you want me to do that before the description of the bill itself, or?
So maybe in the bill you could sort of describe it. I wasn't prepared to, it's been sort of described a little bit. Let's see, this is, let me look at your amendment, so that'll give me a little cheat here. So one was just a simple language change, I think, but that was the name of the resolution center. Why don't you just start off with the amendment, and I'll sort of chime in after if you don't mind, because I got to get my notes together here. So let's start with number 23.
So I have to first move the bill to, can I,
So the bills, it was,
move the amendment, not the bill.
so council members, and walk us through what document we should be looking at. I think it's,
There should be
let's see, we have,
out on your desk that says TNC.
yeah, so this is the first one is just the description of what we're calling it, correct? And the
Yes.
second one is more substantive on the addition. So, okay, so it's been moved. Council Bill 119684 is being moved. You should have, at least I have this version, which basically is Section D, I think. Go ahead, Councilmember Sawant.
I move Amendment 1 to add a Driver Solidarity and Resource Center to the list of acceptable uses of the funds from the TNC tax.
Okay, that's the amendment as described. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay, Councilmember O'Brien, second for discussion. Go ahead, Councilmember Sawant.
Thank you. As you said, President Harrell, correctly, the substantive part of the amendments come into the language of the resolution that will be item number 25. But since they're all related, I just wanted to speak once and for all and then have the points apply to item number 25 as well.
Yeah, it's sort of hard. Your first amendment supports the larger amendment, which is a more comprehensive center. So maybe what we could.
Yeah, but both the amendments are about that.
Yeah, I understand that. So maybe just from a practical standpoint, what we can do, it's a little unorthodox, but maybe if this has legs, the name should logically change. So maybe we should just get into the substantive one and then come back and vote for the number 23, because
I'm okay with that.
are you okay?
You can move to hold this item, and then we can move on to move to hold this item until after consideration of item 25.
So what I was hoping to do, I can do it that way, but perhaps an easier way is just for Councilmember Swant to describe these two, and then we'll do the pro-con or who likes it, who doesn't. And then after that transparent discussion, we'll just come back and take the votes. That may make sense to me at least, but does that? So even though number 25 isn't, which is the resolution, isn't introduced, we could openly talk about it because it's related to number 23. Okay. Am I going to go to jail or something if I do that? You look at me
You can discuss the similarities, but only item 23 is before you right now, and that amendment's the only one before you.
Okay, so only 23 is before me. It ties into 25. We're not going to vote on 25. But Councilmember Swant, maybe you could describe the whole concept, which embodies 25, but only 23 is in front of us.
Yes.
Okay.
I can do that. First of all,
Thank you.
before going into the substance of my amendments, what it does, so we have item number 23, which is right now in front of us, which is the bill that establishes the language for how the proceeds of the tax on Uber and Lyft corporations would be used. And so we already have possible items for which the tax revenues could be used, like administrative costs related to the tax, investment in affordable housing, transportation and transit investments. So there's already an A, B, and C, of course, all of which I strongly support, and I strongly support all the efforts by the Teamster Union. So firstly, to clarify, this is not in conflict with what the Teamsters Union has worked on. This is in addition to, so this amendment that is relevant for item number 23 would add an item D in among the list of potential uses for the revenues of the tax, and that's a driver solidarity and resource center, including a driver resolution center. And the driver resolution center is already in the original language. And then when we come to item number 25, that's a resolution. That's not the ordinance. That's a resolution to describe all the, what kind of eligible uses there would be for the funds generated from the transportation network company tax. And in that, the amendment goes into more detail about what the Solidarity and Resource Center, what kind of services they would provide if we had such a center. So if that clarifies it and I can motivate why I'm moving this.
Yes, please do.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much to the Teamsters Union, everybody, all the organizers, staff organizers, and the members, both the Seattle App-Based Drivers Association, which is working more directly with the Teamsters, and also the Seattle Rideshare Drivers Association, which is also associated with the App-Based Drivers Association, and many of the drivers are collaborating amongst themselves. But there are additional points that the Rideshare Drivers Association wants to bring. So this is about that. It is not in any way in antagonism to the points that the Teamsters have already brought up, which we strongly support, my office strongly supports. Also, another thing I want to say at the outset is that as a union member myself and as a strong supporter of the Teamsters Union, I completely and unambiguously disavow any anti-union sentiments or any anti-Teamster sentiments that may have been brought up by certain individuals. Some of it is from outright company, company shills or company spokespeople, lobbyists, and sometimes they are brought up from genuine activists and workers who may have certain doubts or confusions. And I just wanted to assure everybody here and everybody who's watching or listening that this is in no way meant to and isn't, as a matter of fact, something that is antagonistic to unions. And in fact, I want to go even farther than that and say that all throughout history of working class people, not just in the US, but around the world, we have seen that without union organizing, there has been nothing that has stood for us. It's when workers got organized into unions that we were able to win even a modicum of rights in a deeply hostile and exploitative system that we live in, which is capitalism. And unions were built in this country by workers who were organizing before there was a legal right to a union, which means that many of the earliest organizers made tremendous sacrifices, sometimes through life and limb, in order for the right for future generations to have unions. And that's the kind of courage we stand on the shoulders of, and so we have to be very, very clear about that. The purpose of this amendment is to support the demand of hundreds of Uber and Lyft drivers for a driver solidarity and resource center. And I want everybody who's listening to know that the reason my office and I came to support these demands is after having talked to dozens of the 300 drivers that were reported, who have signed the petition for this, many of whom overwhelmingly are immigrants or even refugees from East Africa, from South Asia, from my home country, India, many of whom face systematic marginalization and oppression in our society, and the objective of all of this effort, whether it's what the Teamster Union brought forward or the Solidarity and Resource Center, all of this, I think we have a shared objective of building the power of rank and file drivers, because that is the only thing, building power among the rank and file and building really strong rank and file led unions, that is the only thing that can go up against the massive power of this sweatshop on wheels, which is Uber and Lyft corporations. There's nothing new, nothing innovative about this exploitation. This is old-fashioned, good old-fashioned garden variety exploitation of so-called gig economy workers. And the only thing that we can do to overcome these powerful corporate executives, the venture capitalists, and all the other capitalists who have a stake in maintaining these exploitative companies is for workers to get organized. I know we share that goal. So having said that, the reason I'm bringing this forward is because after having talked to dozens of drivers, I was quite convinced that this is, even if I don't win this amendment today, which I don't think I will, I wanted to bring this forward as a topic of important discussion. And to accomplish this, it requires these two amendments. So we have discussed with, I've personally talked to dozens of drivers, but between my staff and I, we've probably talked to over 100 Lyft and Uber drivers about their working conditions, needs, and concerns. We know that Uber and Lyft have generated, really just incredible amounts of wealth for the top executives and other, the major shareholders and so on. But the drivers, most of the drivers remain in deep and further deepening poverty and continue to grow desperate. Drivers are struggling to survive economically, especially with the rising cost of housing. Many lack health care. Some drivers are even living and sleeping inside their vehicles. Others are having trouble paying rent every month. And that is, that's just worsening throughout the region. It's not just Seattle. Even drivers who are living in the southern extremities of King County are also facing that. Many of the drivers were former taxi cab drivers who owned taxi medallions, and owning being, I'm using that term loosely because they went into massive amounts of debt to get a medallion in the first place. They borrowed huge sums of money in order to start their taxi business. And then Uber and Lyft disrupted the paid transportation sector, and the medallions lost nearly all of their value, destroying the hard-earned assets of the taxi drivers and throwing many of the drivers into deep debt, hence the need for suicide prevention and counseling in the Driver Solidarity and Resource Center. There is a strong need to prevent suicide, and the reason is because many of the drivers are stuck in debt. And in fact, I'm sorry to share with you, and I had already shared with you in earlier budget discussions, is that when we were organizing for this in the last month and a half, in that same period, one of the drivers who's of East African origin actually committed suicide in that time and lost his life. A deeply tragic event that falls directly at the doorstep of the Uber and Lyft corporations. And so I find this a very compelling issue, and I hope that in the coming year we are able to work towards it and make sure that it's not about what we call it. It's not about the name Solidarity and Resource Center, although it's a very apt name. It's about what the drivers, what the workers want out of such a resource center, and that is why I mentioned one of those things that they're asking for, which is suicide prevention and counseling, direct family assistance and support services, multilingual workshops, because many of the drivers are immigrants. English is a second, third, or even fourth language for them. They need to be organized to advocate effectively for their rights in dealing with Uber and Lyft and English language and English classes. Naturalization from immigrant into citizenship also is an important aspect of it. Because Uber misclassifies drivers as contractors rather than workers, drivers have far more complicated taxes as well. And so there are all kinds of barriers and obstacles that the drivers face to have a decent standard of living. And we don't even imagine those things because as non-Uber drivers, we may not face the same needs. One of the most important issues that the base legislation is needed for is to address the long history that Uber and Lyft have had of arbitrarily firing drivers, or as they call it euphemistically, deactivating drivers. Deactivating drivers is nothing but firing without cause. That's what it is. And drivers will tell you they face this almost on a day-to-day basis. It is absolutely outrageous. So the Driver Resolution Center that is in the base legislation is intended to address that issue. However, I have a concern that all of that depends on Uber and Lyft agreeing to voluntarily participate in the Driver Resolution Center, and I've mentioned this before. And these companies do not have a good track record of treating drivers fairly, and I feel that that's a stretch that it will happen. I will be thrilled if the companies are willing, but I also don't think we should assume that it will happen either. So if a Driver Resolution Center starts overturning deactivations, we need to be real about how Uber and Lyft, we anticipate, will respond. There is one way to actually hold Uber and Lyft accountable, which is to, and that is to truly have the power to stop unfair deactivations and to win a living wage. And that is, as I already said, is for drivers to get organized into a powerful union, because Uber and Lyft could not make a penny if the drivers went on strike and refused to drive, and they did that refusal in an organized way until their demands were met. And I'm not raising this as if to say that it would be simple. Many of us who've been in unionizing drive in the labor movement, we know that is one of the hardest things to do. It will take a lot of sacrifice. It will take a lot of community support, but it is worth raising because it is so crucial in building worker power. And also because this has been done. In New York State and in New York City, the New York Taxi Drivers Alliance has won historic victories against Uber and Lyft corporations, winning practically the right for the drivers to be considered employees and not contractors. So we're not talking in the abstract. We have examples to follow. We also saw the extremely successful AB5 bill in California that was just won. So we have tremendous examples that we can build off of, maybe not in every single detail, but the overall model of worker organizing and power building is something that is going to stand us in good stead. So just to go to a little bit of a specifics, in the Driver Solidarity and Resource Center, drivers can come together to advocate collectively for their rights within the rideshare industry and get services including the legal support, training, and community organizing to challenge driver deactivation. It will help them get organized because they will come and talk to each other over there and build their own power. Membership meeting space for these organizing meetings, multilingual workshops, tax and financial training, voter registration and voter rights training, immigration and naturalization assistance, which I can tell you as an immigrant myself that you absolutely need that in order to make sure that you're not falling into some sort of bad situation. Driver family assistance and support services, counseling and mental health care, as I said, suicide prevention, English language training. So all of this is sort of encompassed in the idea of a Solidarity and Resource Center. And that's why, as I said, even if the amendment doesn't pass today, I look forward to the new council working together in making sure that these needs are fully incorporated in the uses for the revenues from the tax collection. And also one more thing I wanted to say, I mean, just as a testament to how wonderfully the drivers have organized and how much courage it has required on their part, because they are some of the most marginalized sisters and brothers we have. The Rideshare Drivers Association, in 2014, they really began their organizing under the aegis of the Teamsters, and they organized a strike against unfair deactivations and low wages. And I was there that day when they were courageously throwing their phones into a cardboard box. That was their strike, because the phone is where you reach the app to be a driver. And it took incredible courage, and I'll never forget that moment when all the drivers were throwing the phones into the boxes. And I wanted to recognize Omar Moomin and Abdi Shire, who were part of the leadership of that alongside the Teamsters. And I wanted to hold up this sign. This sign has been hanging in my office since 2014, and it's a testament to how long the drivers have been organizing. And I bring this up to point out that organizing works, fighting back works, because we wouldn't be here today with this bill in front of us if the drivers and the union hadn't taken those steps 5 years ago. And just to clarify, as I said, the budget amendment does not say anything specific about how much money should be allocated to this Solidarity and Resource Center. Instead, it merely includes the center in the approved list of uses for TNC tax revenues, and that will be in the resolution. So I will stop there, but in conclusion, really reiterate my hope that the Teamsters Union, the King County Labor Council, the rank and file drivers, and the progressives on the City Council, that we can really fight to make sure that the drivers have their full rights guaranteed in the next year or so.
Thank you, Councilmember Swant. We have an amendment on the table that's been moved and seconded. I'll have some discussion. I'll go first if others don't want to go first. But first of all, I appreciate all of the comments, and there's nothing in the resolution that by any stretch of the imagination is bad. It's all really good stuff. During the conversations on the base legislation, I talked about the name. We're on item 23, which really just changes the name. Drivers Resolution Center, for me, it should be more than that. And while Solidarity and Resource Center doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, the point being is I certainly would be receptive to a name that really talks about solidarity and empowerment and resources. And so I think that we're on to something there. Here's the challenge I have with the amendment, and is why I will not support it at this time. Is number one, what's likely to happen next year is the spending plan will have to come back to the council. It'll be more granular. We'll have data. The Office of Labor Standards will have gotten more information from the drivers and from customers and from the projections from the finance folks to know what kind of money we've generated. And there will be likely a supplemental budget or another ordinance in place. And it would seem to me that the primary thrust of the Resolution Center are that first, resolving poor deactivations. That's the first. That's the focus. And then the language I had originally had come up with that got stricken we got some input from law and some other editors, was retooling of drivers, because at the end of the day, we wanted them to have good jobs. And if they didn't have good jobs, to help them get good or even better jobs. And from that, we looked at having an opportunity to both organize and have them have a stronger ability to do greater things for their lives and for their families. But my concern at this point is whether we're losing focus on the sort of the competency of the center, number one. But number two, we've had to sort of look at this legislation during the budget process. That's been real tough. There's several components to it. And I just think, again, next year that a council will sit down and talk to all of the drivers, get feedback, and really make sure that we're investing the way it consistent with what all of the constituents are saying. It's a very it's a tough constituent base, because you certainly can't please anyone in this world of TNCs. I found that out. So I'm just wondering if it's a little premature at this point to be as granular in the approach, and that's pretty much my objection to it, not for what's in there. The other, I guess, point I would make is that all of these components of the amendment, multilingual workshops, tax and financial training, voter registration, et cetera, again, all outstanding investments, and we are sort of creating these great services for a subset of our population, drivers. And the question I would have is whether this great enriched work is better served in looking at what other groups and demographics outside of just the driver circle we may want to support if we are to invest in that kind of center. So again, I do not oppose this approach. In fact, it's all really good stuff. I just wonder at this stage of the legislation whether we should be that granular. And as you may recall, the language we did approve during the budget process sort of talked about an organization with a proven commitment to workers' rights and experience in providing resources to drivers and contractors and workers, particularly with cultural competencies with disadvantaged groups and disadvantaged socioeconomic groups. And so I think we were trying to head in that direction this year in hopes that we could be a little more granular next year. So those are the reasons why I'm not supporting the amendment, but I want to thank Councilmember Swamp for bringing it forward during the budget process. Any other comments or questions? We're just voting on 23, by the way, although we're talking about 25. I'll just stop there and see if anyone wants to raise their hand. I'll wait. Councilmember Herbold, question?
Just to reorient myself, you just said we're just voting on 23, not
well,
24.
Yeah, because we haven't even gotten to 24. Councilmember Swan basically described, and I asked her to describe number 23 and number 25, but we haven't read 25 into the record, but we're sort of talking about 25. 23 is the name change, but 25 is the substance of what she's presenting. That's what I said.
If we are intending to speak to the amendment, when is the appropriate time to do that?
Now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, I'm not, if this amendment for item number 23 doesn't pass, then I'm not planning to bring forward the amendment for item number 25 because that doesn't make sense. But if you don't mind, President Harrell, I would like a few closing remarks before.
Absolutely. Councilor Herbold, was that your question or did you have more?
That's my question.
Okay. So now will be the time to talk about 25, although it's not read into the record, as it relates to the name change. I'm trying to squeeze it in somehow. So yes.
So I do see this amendment as broader than a name change, and I certainly support its objectives. As I understand the process going forward is that we, as the council, will be briefed on the components of an RFP before it goes out. And I want to thank you, Council President, for reminding me of language that is actually in the ordinance, well, right now it's a council bill. Hopefully will be an ordinance soon, but language in the council bill itself that gives, I think, some good direction to the executive of what we would like to see coming back before an RFP goes out. And it specifically says that we would like a driver resolution center to consider contractual partnerships among entities to achieve the direct participation of organizations primarily focused on diversity and advocating for the civil and economic rights of workers from disadvantaged socioeconomic groups. So for me, that language uplifts the council's intent for a driver resolution center, and I think it sends a strong message that we want a entity that is bidding on the funding for this center to do more than simply resolve employer-employee conflict complaints. And so I'm comfortable with this direction and am supporting this language and not the amended language to the amendment to the resolution.
Thanks, Councilmember Herbold. Councilmember O'Brien, did you have some comments you'd like to make?
I did, thank you. I'll not reiterate some of the comments that I've heard from others that I fully support. And Councilmember Sawant, I think you're absolutely right on the direction that this work needs to go. I'm not going to support this amendment because, frankly, as Council President Harrell said, the timing of this, not the amendment, frankly, but the timing of this work coming to the council and the work required and the outreach required to do this properly, I think. I haven't had that time during the budget to do that. But I do believe there will be opportunities in the new year to do that work. I think that what's critically important going forward as we transition from this phase where legislation was drafted and introduced and started to be publicized during a very busy budget season and turn into a process that will hopefully be a much more transparent and inclusive process where people can engage thoughtfully in how they want to see this work move forward, that it's going to be incumbent upon the council next year to be making sure that that process is open to everyone and transparent. I've been aware for a number of months that this work was happening here at City Hall, but frankly, as a council member, I was not part of those discussions and was largely in the dark. That's as a council member. I can only imagine how it felt to be a driver, knowing that conversations were happening about your future and you're not participating in those conversations, let alone being even aware of where that happens. And when those when actions like that happen, it breeds a lot of mistrust. And I will say that the people that were party to that, I understand why the conversations happened the way they did. I don't believe anyone was intending to undermine anyone else's interests. But there's an opportunity that I think the city needs to lead on in the new year, which is an opportunity to bring the drivers together in a very transparent and inclusive way to understand their concerns. There's a lot of different drivers out there with a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different interests, and those interests aren't always exactly aligned. But in my number of years working with the drivers, what I know is that they're a dedicated, passionate group who can build consensus and work together to find a way to make this move forward to benefit all drivers. And if we fail at that, and the drivers do not have the trust of each other, unfortunately, the folks who will continue to make money and exploit them will be the big corporations that are doing so today. And so it's in all of our interest to figure out, to do that hard work to get folks coming together. And Councilmember Sawant, I think the language in here goes a long way to indicating that. I just have some concerns about the specific wording and how it's used, and would prefer, since this is really just largely a resolution to say what the council is going to do next year, to say what I hope the council does next year, but not vote yes on this resolution or the name change. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Bryan. Before Councilmember Sawant closes the debate on her proposal, are there any other questions or comments from anyone? Councilmember Sawant, you want to close this out?
Yes. Firstly, on your point, President Harrell, and if I didn't fully, I didn't exactly understand it, but I think with your point about what can we have a broader impact, a broader community impact than just drivers. First of all, I just want to point out that the drivers come from marginalized communities themselves. So whatever we do to directly help the drivers also helps their families and their children and their spouses, and they are all part of a deeply marginalized community. So I honestly would not worry about that in any way. Also, I would say that in the new year, when we think about revenues for this tax, we have to, and I hope the new council will have the courage to do this, because the voters have certainly given us their mandate, that we will have the courage to not do the business as usual of pitting Peter to, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and pitting various needs against one another, which is a direct result of a lack of political courage to really aggressively go for progressive revenues of different kinds. So rather than posing the question of, can we have a broader use of revenues from the TNC tax, I would much rather pose it as, Can we make sure that the drivers and their families get the maximum benefit out of the TNC tax? And can we also pass the Amazon tax? Can we also pass impact fees on corporate developers? And can we also pass vacancy fees? And can we also make sure that no stone is left unturned in raising progressive revenue, so that we don't say, well, are there other communities that need to be supported? Because frankly, the vast majority of social needs in our city and region are not being supported at this moment. The other thing I wanted to say, just to echo, I thought Councilmember O'Brien made a very important point, which is that I think all organizers on the ground have an obligation to make sure that we prioritize unity and power building among the drivers, and that obligation lies with me as a council member, and I take that responsibility seriously. And as a union member, I will say that responsibility lies on union organizers also. We all have to take that responsibility seriously, and I think we all understand the way the balance of forces work, that if drivers are not brought together and don't work in a strong, united fashion, then the entities that end up benefiting is not the union, but it's Uber and Lyft Corporation. And so I really appreciate, this allows me to lift up an important point that came up during the organizing, that both the drivers who are primarily organizing with the App-Based Drivers Association and the drivers who are primarily organizing under the banner of the Rideshare Association have actually themselves put an emphasis on their own unity, regardless of what anybody else is doing, and that I wanted to appreciate. And so in addition to thanking brothers Omar and Abdi, I also wanted to thank brothers Don Creary, Peter Kuhl, and Lata Ahmed, and also sister Julie Davis, we may not all be on the same page on every last thing, but we are clearly on the same page that workers, drivers need to be united, and that gives me a lot of hope, and I look forward to the next year. And just last but not least, as far as the specific wording, I honestly don't think that the wording we've brought forward is specific. It's very general, and these are all needs that we clearly know the community has. So I don't think there's anything controversial in that. So I hope that in the new year, we will see driver needs being prioritized. But my message is also for my sisters and brothers who are drivers, that we are not going to win any of that unless we keep getting organized and we keep building unity and building power among ourselves.
Thank you. Okay, so we have an amendment on item number 23. It's been moved and seconded, and I'm going to take a vote just on the amendment, not on the base bill. Okay, so we're just voting on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment, please vote aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed, say no and raise your hand. No. So the amendment fails, but the base legislation is still intact, and now we can vote on the base legislation. So please call the roll on the passage of Council Bill 119684.
Pacheco. Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold. Aye. Juarez.
Aye.
Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed. The chair will sign it. Please read agenda item number 24 into the record.
Agenda item 24, Council Bill 119685 relating to Transportation Network Company fees. The committee recommends the bill pass as amended.
Sure. Any questions or comments on number 24? Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passes and the chair will sign it. Please read Resolution 31914, item number 25 into the record.
Agenda item 25, Resolution 31914, adopting a spending plan for the proceeds of the Seattle Transportation Network Company tax to provide support to affordable housing near frequent transit transportation and a driver conflict resolution center. Committee recommends the resolution be adopted as amended.
Okay, just one moment, colleagues. Here's the last piece of legislation. Oh, this is for the item number 19. Okay, I'll come back to that. Okay, this is the other part of the spending plan and resolution that Councilmember Sawant was going to amend. in light of what happened in number 23. Councilmember Swan, did you want to say anything else about the amendment, or should I just proceed with the vote? I'll defer to you. Go ahead, please.
I'm not, since the other amendment failed, I'm not planning to bring it forward today. And I do plan to vote yes on the spending plan resolution, but with the understanding that we will continue to be organizing with the drivers to make sure that their needs are met through the revenues raised.
Yeah. I don't want to generate a long discussion, but you showed some, I don't think I made my point clear. You didn't understand my point about when I said that the services provided in your amendment was a sort of a subset, I think is the word that I used, of drivers. That one of my thinking as I look at what's happening to both our country is that we'll have a lot of potentially displaced workers, whether they are parking lot attendants or security guards or just certain segments that technology will replace. And I sort of, when I read your amendment, sort of the spirit of it, looked at a lot of the challenges that particularly immigrant and refugees, but many people have when being displaced or being challenged by large companies. And so the point I was making was that these great services, that it might be advisable for the council to look at other subsets or other groups, other workers, other types of workers that may be impacted as life goes on in this country. So that was the point I was making, and I hope that that was clear at least. Okay, so number 25 is here, so resolution. So those in favor of adopting the resolution, please vote aye. Aye. Those opposed, vote no.
No.
You're voting no on the resolution?
We weren't even coming forward with this.
No, this is this is the base resolution. This is not an amendment. Okay. So let's do that one again.
Okay.
So those in favor of adopting the resolution vote aye. 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 Those opposed vote no. The resolution is adopted and the chair will sign it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry about that, everybody.
Okay, let's go to 26 through 30 collectively.
Agenda items 26 through 30, Council Bill 119686 relating to the Transportation Network Company drivers. Committee recommends the bill passes amended. Council Bill 119687 relating to the Transportation Network Company driver labor standards. The committee recommends the bill passes amended. Council Bill 119688 relating to an employee giving program for city employees. Committee recommends the bill pass. Council Bill 119690 relating to interfund loans. The committee recommends the bill pass. And Resolution 31916 acknowledging the inherent responsibility of the city to reduce unnecessary justice systems involvement. The committee recommends the bill pass as amended.
Okay. And Councilmember Swan, I'm going to come back to item number 19 right before the full budget is approved. I'll do that with and we'll have a motion to reconsider that item. Okay, so number 26 through 30, first of all, are there any questions on this group of items? Because then I'll just sort of go through it. Okay, please call the roll on item number 26, Council Bill 119686.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Aye. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Okay, number 27, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez. Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and chair will sign it. Please call the roll on item number 28.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez. Herbold. Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and chair will sign it. Please call the roll on the passage of number 29.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez. Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and chair will sign it. And please, on the resolution number 30, those in favor of adopting the resolution, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, vote no. The resolution is adopted and chair will sign it. Just one moment here.
That was for.
So we're going to
Ms. Dugard.
take number 31 by itself. No.
Do the reconsideration now?
Okay, let's do the reconsideration now. So we're going to go back to number 19, item number 19, which is, well, we'll get to it in a moment, but let me make a motion that I will move to reconsider the passage of Council Bill 119699, which is item number 19. Is there a second? Okay. This is just for the reconsideration. Those in favor of the motion to reconsider, please vote aye. Aye. Those opposed, vote no. So all the ayes have it. So the motion carries, and we will now consider reconsider the passage of Council Bill 119699. Now let's all see what it is, because I haven't looked at it yet. Okay. It's the traffic code amendment, and does that have to be read back into the record? Okay, so it's in front of us now, and I think it was all voted on affirmatively, but Councilmember Sawant, would you like to make any comments on that?
Yes, I voted yes on it, but I intended to vote no on it, and I apologize that I didn't catch it in the whole list of items. This ordinance reduces the fee charged for restricted parking zones, companies like Car2Go, from $700 a year to $200 a year, reducing the total per car fees charged by the city from $1,730 per year to $1,230 per year. Those funds were originally earmarked for low-income mobility programs. The summary of the legislation says that this reduction is because those low-income mobility programs do not need the money, and because the number of free-floating car share companies in Seattle has shrunk from 3 to 1, and the one is Car2Go. If Car2Go now has a monopoly on the city, I'm not clear at all from an economic standpoint why the city would be giving them a tax break. And so while this is not has not been as prominent of an issue as taxing all large corporations to fund vital services, it still is a question of a profit-making corporation, and I don't see a compelling reason for this reduction, and so I will be voting no, and I appreciate the reconsideration.
Thank you, Councilmember Sawant. Are there any other comments? And this is a bill. So are there any other comments before we vote again from any of my colleagues? Councilmember Herbold.
I am not going to be voting against this, but I am going to express my disappointment that in eliminating the $700 fee, that we are not, as consumers, getting something in return. Recently this year, Car2Go made an announcement that they were going to have higher cost services to certain neighborhoods that were not high density neighborhoods, and in the majority of those cases, those high density or those low density neighborhoods overlapped with communities of color and low income neighborhoods. And it seems to me that in exchange for this reduction in this annual fee, we should be getting from Car2Go a commitment to equity of service and equity of cost of service throughout the city.
Thank you, Councilmember Herbold. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember O'Brien.
I'll just comment briefly on this. I appreciate both concerns that were raised by my colleagues. I think this is a tricky line to walk. Certainly understand the idea if a business has a monopoly that they could extract higher prices, and so why would we be complicit in that? There's also evidence looking around the rest of the country where we've seen free-floating car shares completely eliminated from markets, and I think there's a question that is hard for us to fully understand without seeing the books of these companies as to the viability of this product at all. You know, there are models, in fact, including here, I believe, long before I was on the city council, when for transportation reasons, we wanted to see a car sharing program. And I believe the city and or the county subsidized the original Flex car, which merged to become Zipcar. just similar to what we did a few years ago on creating a bike share program. And so there are times when we say how much we want to do. We are not subsidizing this. This is a private enterprise that's doing it. The charges we had been charging have been accumulating an account with the intent of being invested in some types of low-income access that the city has not figured out yet. And so I think it's an appropriate step to take for this year as we still understand how this market's going to shake out. I think the presence of a free-floating car share program is a really key component to our multimodal transportation system. And I think it would be devastating for some folks if that went away. And so I want to see it stay here. I hope we can get better intel and better information on how to have competition in the space so we won't be in this position in the future.
Thank you, Councilmember O'Brien. Okay, so we're going to vote. Will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of Bill 119699?
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
No.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herpel.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda. O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
7 in favor, 1 opposed.
Bill passes, and the chair has already signed it, so I don't have to re-sign it. So
Not affected.
it's not affected. Okay, so let's move to number 31, item number 31. Clerk file.
Agenda item 31, clerk file 314438, City Council changes to the 2020 proposed budget and the 2020 through 2025 proposed capital improvement program. The committee recommends that the clerk file be approved and filed.
Okay, so this is just a clerk file. The next one will be we adopt it. So any questions on the clerk file? Those in favor of approving and placing the clerk file on file, please vote aye. Aye. Those opposed vote no. The motion carries and the clerk file is approved and placed on file. Please read agenda item number 32.
Agenda item 32, Council Bill 119689, adopting a budget including capital improvement program and position modifications for the City of Seattle for 2020, and creating positions exempt from civil service, all by 2/3 vote of the City Council. The committee recommends the bill pass as amended.
Okay, this is the final adoption of the budget. We're going to turn it over to Councilmember Bagshaw, who I want to say before you begin, thank you. Thank you for working. This was a lot of work and a lot of commitment from you, and I appreciated the way you handled it from start to finish. Councilmember Bagshaw, you have the floor.
Thank you. Well, I've got about 5 pages of thank yous. If you will all recognize the good work that you have all done. Council Central staff, how come you're hiding in the background, and where are your colleagues? But let's say, I want to start by saying last year in our 2019 budget, it really reflected what our collective commitment was to areas that needed our most attention. And it included what we built on this year around housing and homeless services, the hygiene, and we will get to all these thank yous, and LEAD, the criminal justice reform. And I just want to acknowledge Lisa Dugard, Tara Moss, thank you very much for being here, and I'm going to get more to that in a moment. But this year, as we continue to focus on these commitments, I was so impressed by how all of us here not only got along, but focused on those commitments that were most important to us, and that's where we put our highest priorities. We did indeed build on the mayor's budget, and that was great, but as Councilmember Gonzalez, you said from the beginning, we're going to put our own priorities on this, our own mark, and I believe that we've done that. So just as a couple of examples, a few things that we ended up doing, $2.15 million to build up to 100 more tiny homes. We heard from so many people who are living in tiny homes saying that this was an answer for them. And as somebody who's been working on this for at least 9 years, I could not tell you how happy I am. Clearly, I think we need more, but that is a good start. I'm honored that the $1.8 million that we put in for the Bill Hobson Clinic moved forward. I want to say thanks to Daniel Malone, DESC, as many of you, and I know many of us, we're good friends with Bill Hobson, but this makes such a difference to me personally. I also want to say thank you for the $1.6 million, and this is Councilmember Herbold and Councilmember Juarez, for unsheltered individuals to get access to bathrooms and showers, and then to provide diapers and women's hygiene products, expand trash collection at these encampments. This made a big difference.
And Councilmember Sawant, I just want to
And Councilmember
For the
Sawant.
record, she was my co-sponsor on that
Thank you. And just the 1.5 million we put in today for the youth program, education and diversion, it was $1 million. Councilmember Herbold, that you did, as we pointed out, $3 million in our original budget, an additional $200,000. Councilmember Sawant, thank you for that. I'm very excited, and this is Councilmember Pacheco, that you pushed this with the 1.6 million to keep our enhanced shelter beds for youth open, for youth that are experiencing homelessness, to have that support, to have the legal services that they need. And I want to recognize all of the people, the advocates, the providers, whether it's Melinda Giovango or others, that just make sure that we have services and places for youth to be at night. And more 24/7, more places, more support for them will help people get off the street. Councilmember Juarez, big thanks to you for the $1 million that you have really pushed to expand homeless services and improve outcomes for American Native, Indian, Alaska Native homeless individuals. Makes a big difference. That and the murdered and missing Indigenous women. That's something that you have been advocating for. I'm deeply thankful for that. So we're also addressing the council's highest priorities around criminal justice reform, as we mentioned, public safety, transportation, and environmental protection. So I'm not going to beat that one too much. You know where we're going with it. Thanks to our Seattle Fire Department for getting Health One up and operational this year. It was a big deal. And then also the monies that we put in to redesign Thomas Street to help complete Market to Mohai, the work we're doing down in Fortson Square to make Yesler Crescent, the improvement a reality. So with that and the 3.5 million to our local genius, thank you so much for all the work that you've done. With the additional money that you were able to get from the Ballmer Foundation, this is going to move us from a position, one of which we're proud of, to one that is going to be great. So I know that as we're being able to measure and to monitor, and you have already done so much in that regard, we're going to come back and see, yes, this is an option that is way better than putting people in jail. So thank you so much, Lisa, for all your good work and all of your colleagues there working on that. So with that, I want to say some very specific thank yous. Ali Panucci, you're hiding back there, but to you and Dan Eder, thank you for your leadership on this. It was a spectacular time for me working with you, and I just really appreciate your management, your calm, everything that you did to help this become a success. And Lisa Kay, thank you, and Tom, thanks for the work that you two did on spreadsheets. A little known secret up here is that I break out in hives when I have to look at numbers by myself, so you really were terrific in making that happen. Thank you for that. Jeff Sims and Tracy, they're hiding somewhere. I think Jeff is gone, but Tracy Ratzlaff, if you are listening, thank you for all the work that you did on human services and the regional governance, not only to date, but what's to come. Amelia and Jody, thank you for the two of you. I'm so respectful for your keeping us on track, everything that you've taught me about substitutions and amendments and adopting things, keeping us on track. So thank you both for that very much. Greg Doss, I don't know where everybody is, but Greg, if you're listening, and Carlos Lugo, on the work that you've done on criminal justice reform. Special thanks, Greg, for working on LEAD with me and helping with all of the good work that we have done on the resolution, the drafting, just keeping that on track. So Greg Doss, thank you. Brian, good night on your, it's the special on education and utilities. And thank you that we just had Calvin Chow and Eric McConaughey come in. Calvin, thanks for all the work that you've done on transportation. And of course, Eric, I'm just so appreciative of the work that you and Amy Gore have done. I mean, you've got a broad catalog of work you were doing on Seattle City Light and Human Services and the works on TNC. So thank you, gentlemen, both for that. Lish Whitson and Keetle Freeman on land use. I cannot tell you how many times poor Keetle in 10 years has had to explain land use 101 to me. Karina Bull, for your Office of Labor Standards, thank you for your tutorials on that. I think I mentioned Brian Goodnight already around education and utilities, but the focus that you individually have really meant a great deal to me. Asha, your work on civil rights, Calvin, I've mentioned, and Eric, you walked in the door just at the right time. Yolanda Ho, the great work that, Yolanda, you have done around helping me support and get forward with our urban trees ordinance, the environment, climate change. You and Michael Bryan are a great team there. So thank you all. And so, colleagues, let me just turn my attention to you for just 3 more minutes, if you'll bear with me. So, Councilmember Mosqueda, thank you for bringing Camilla here. Thank you for all of the work. I've missed you. I'm glad you're back. Truly, your dedication to workers over this last year with the hotel workers that you've done, the domestic workers, it's just mattered so much. And I just appreciate your leadership and our work to promote more childcare. And we are getting a mama's room here in City Hall this year. We put $100,000 into it. So that is in your capable hands going forward next year. And Councilmember Swan, I do want to recognize and say thank you for your dedication to the people of this city. Many people's lives are really better because of you. Excuse me, Councilmember O'Brien, it's been 10 wonderful years working with you. Your commitment to climate change, the good work that you have done on all environmental issues. One time, I know that the stranger said to me begrudgingly that I was sort of a nice person, but I didn't hold a candle to you. And I'm honored and appreciate so much the work that we have done together. So thank you for that. Council President Harrell, you have been my buddy, my favorite linebacker and defender for the 10 years that I've been on this, and you really understand how much we all need each other in this community. And I think, above all, I appreciate the fact that you know that excessive individualism doesn't build the city we want, and it's something I've heard you say many times, and you are a colleague that I greatly appreciate, and I just want you to know that. And thank you for caring for all of us and for Seattle. And Councilmember Gonzalez, since I'm now turning on this side, I just appreciate so much your knowledge of the law, your willingness to dive deep into all issues, including public safety issues, and you've done a tremendous amount about protecting and promoting and teaching us about immigrant and refugee issues, and that has meant so much to me. And I know that all of our neighbors are going to be better off because of you. And it's just been an honor working with you, you and your number 2 here. And Councilmember Herbold, I get such appreciation thinking about your long journey. I mean, 18 years, I think, as the legislative aide, and into where you are now, the #1 champion of D1. And it's been my pleasure. But I want to thank you personally for your advocacy for not just your district, but the whole city, and the work that you've done bringing some special support and attention to South Park, better transportation to West Seattle, fighting for sound transit in ways that we need to, and being very smart about operation costs, whether it's for the buses, for streetcar. That's really in your hands going forward, and I just want you to know how much I appreciate that. And Councilmember Pacheco, what a delight it has been working with you. Thank you. You jumped in here, I think, in April of last year with both feet, and you have been unflagging. Thank you so much for helping us with D4, building on our colleague, Councilmember Rob Johnson's legacy as well. You've done a lot for us. So I appreciate you. I want to recognize you. And then Councilmember Juarez, not least at all, but I want you to know how much you make me smile thinking about D5. Everything is around D5, but as I mentioned earlier, what you have done to promote justice for missing and murdered Indigenous women, also to support our good friend Colleen Echo Hawk in Chief Seattle Club, it's been my honor working with you. And I would just want you to know, Holy Mountain Woman, how much deep respect I have for you. And we have a favorite movie character, Wind in his hair. And as he said, you will always be my friend. Thank you. So thank you all, everybody, for helping me work this budget. It's been a complete honor to work with all of you, and I am so pleased how far we've gotten this year. So you can call me in Boston, and I'll be here to work with you anytime.
Thank you, Councilmember Bagshaw. Thank you very much. Well, we have item number 32 in front of us, which is the vote on the budget. And I think, did anyone else want to say any words before we pass? Councilmember Mosqueda, you grabbing your mic? Councilmember Mosqueda.
I do want to say a few words. Thank you, Mr. President. I know I haven't had the chance to be with you over the last 6 weeks, so I do want to take a few minutes to express my appreciation. First to my staff, Sejal Parikh, Aaron House, Aretha Basu, Faride Cuevas, who have been working with all of you and all of your staff to get our priorities incorporated in this budget. Thank you, Councilmember Bagshaw, for your incredible work to work with our office and to reach out and to ask for our input and feedback throughout the process. As I'm on parental leave, I thought it was important to come back, and I had somebody ask me, a reporter asked me, why come back today? And I think the importance is to highlight the work that they have been able to accomplish in my absence. I do want to underscore it is really critical, though, that people who have the ability to take that parental leave take it. You get 12 weeks starting in January, thanks to the state new law that passed, so don't forget to take it. After this budget vote, I will be going back on leave. And we know that it's important to have not just those laws on paper, but to make sure that they actually work. You all as colleagues, your staff, central staff, my team, the communications team have been able to support me and my office and my family in making sure that the leave was there for us and that we were able to take it, that it wasn't just black words on a white piece of paper, that truly I was able to take that leave and have the support around me to make sure that these budget priorities were included. So thank you so much to, again, my incredible team at the Team Teresa office and central staff and all of you council colleagues and your team for helping to make these priorities possible. I do want to highlight a few things that we were able to get into the budget, Mr. President, if this is the appropriate time.
Very appropriate.
Again, thanks to the incredible work of our office, Aaron House and Sejal Parikh on the housing, affordable housing, working with central staff, Ali and Tracy, we were able to secure an additional $20 million. It's $19.75 million that we could redirect to affordable housing efforts that are possible now. You heard people speak today about affordable housing efforts like the folks from Africa Town who have projects that are ready to be built now, and they just need additional funding and support from the city of Seattle. We redirected some of those funds so that $20 million can go into affordable housing efforts now by redirecting REIT $2 and making sure that the Mercer Mega Block sale dollars went into efforts that are ready to be built now. We're really moving forward on affordable housing efforts that the community has prioritized. And with your help and with the Council Chair Bagshaw's support as well, we were able to get efforts into the housing budget that not only put the funding there for affordable housing, but put the community preference first. We funded community preference. We funded affirmative marketing efforts. These are two public policies that we've worked on with community over the last 2 years, and now we're putting funding forward so that there will be equitable engagement by those most affected by the legacy of redlining and racist exclusionary policies that allow for folks to not only build the housing that we need, but build it in the community's eyes and make sure that those who are most risk of displacement, those who are the lowest income folks, get to come and live in our communities still. We put funding forward to continue the efforts that we had last year. If you remember, we did the racial equity toolkit on our current zoning policies, because our current zoning policies are much like other cities throughout the nation, where we've excluded, intentionally excluded through historically racist policies, communities, so specifically communities of color, from living in areas that have high access to opportunity. When we do the racial equity analysis, and now with the comp plan EIS that we incorporated here, we will be following in much of the same footsteps that cities like Minneapolis have done, where we've taken a look at the blueprint of our city and said, why do we continue to have single family housing zoning in much of the city? 75% of the city still has that zoning. How is that contributing to displacement and gentrification and prohibiting people from being able to live in this city and stay in this city? I'm really excited about that effort to make sure that there's both anti-displacement efforts and that we're looking at building more inclusive housing through by undoing these past discriminatory practices. I'm really honored to have worked with many of you, including Councilmember Sawant and others who've supported the tiny house villages. With the $815,000 that we got in for tiny house villages, that's another 40 homes. If you think about it, that's about another 75 individuals potentially that can live there. That is a drop in the bucket to, I know, what we want to work on next year in terms of allowing more tiny house villages. It goes without saying that this council is constantly told, be smart with the public dollar, invest in proven practices. Well, I haven't been here for the last 6 weeks to say it, so I gotta say it again. Tiny house villages are a proven practice to get folks into permanent housing. 40% success rate of getting people into affordable housing versus a 4% success rate for mats on the ground. This is 10 times more effective. We ought to be investing in these small tiny house villages and other enhanced 24/7 shelter models that I know the council, Councilmember Bagshaw, as chair of the budget, has prioritized in past efforts. So thank you for including those tiny house villages in this. The criminal justice work that has been done, this is another great way for us to be effective with our dollars. This is about an early intervention. It's like public health model, right? If you want to invest early in keeping the community safe, you invest in public health. Well, when you invest in restorative justice and harm reduction strategies, that is a public health strategy. That is a harm reduction strategy. It saves lives and it saves dollars. So thank you so much to all of our folks who've been working to move funding back into the sex worker harm reduction program, the restorative justice for youth programs, and working with community organizations like POC Swap, Creative Justice, Community Passageways, Rainier Beach Action Coalition, and so many more. I'm really excited about the funding that we got in there for the Green Light Project, which is run by the People of Color Sex Worker Outreach Project. Very excited about the funding that we got in for retraining SPD officers who work with sex officers, so that it's really about coming from those workers themselves and not a patronizing way of thinking about how somebody should engage with that work. This is coming directly from the workers themselves. Continuing the line of work investments, I'm appreciative of the support for the apprenticeship coordinator and the electrical compliance officer. Again, these are upstream investments to make sure that people get into high-paying jobs. I wish we could have done more with investing in the Office of Labor Standards. And next year I'll be working with all of you to make sure that we can have additional enforcement measures and dollars put in place for both education and enforcement. And this is important for the high road employers, small businesses who are doing the right thing and getting undercut by the guy next door who's engaging in wage theft. And it's also important for the workers themselves. We've passed so many pieces of legislation here with this incredible council and previous councils. We just need to make sure that those policies are followed through. And thank you, Councilmember Bagshaw, for your past efforts on childcare. And I know that we will continue fighting for additional childcare throughout the city. I'm disappointed to hear that some of the private partners that we've been talking with about wanting to open additional childcare facilities across the city have just been told that some of the places that they're looking at is not possible. We need to look at this like we do with healthcare, that it is not getting picked up by the private market. This shouldn't be a market good, and we should be thinking about everything we can do from the public policy perspective to invest in public childcare so that 0 to 3 and 0 to 5 childcare is affordable, accessible, and throughout our city. So that's something that I think is on our to-do list next year, and we'll continue working on that. Thank you for all your work. And lastly, I know you guys have been working on this for a long time, so I will stop talking, but I want to thank our council colleagues who've been working with us over the last 6 weeks in my absence. I'm really proud of the approach that we've taken in this budget, and Councilmember Bagshaw, with the small amount of additional funding that was included that you found, I do think that there's the budget reflects that you put those priorities towards helping people who have been most marginalized and the highest needs. So thank you for that. We had to work within the constraints that we have, and so I think that this again calls on us to find additional revenue, equitable revenue, so that we can have an equitable investment in our most vulnerable communities. So we're not thinking about investments for lead versus investments in tiny homes, investments for childcare versus investments in workers and healthcare. These are things that I know we all want to do. So I'll be looking forward to working with all of you to make sure that we find equitable revenue for a more equitable society. Thank you all for your work, and I'm happy to be here and happy to be taken off after this. And thank you for your support as I do that.
Thank you, Councilmember Mosqueda. This, given the fact that this is the last budget item, maybe we just sort of come down the dais here to see if there's any comments. I'm not saying Councilmember Juarez, Councilmember Sawant.
May I say one more thing just as you're coming this way? I just want to say thank you to my mom. She came to watch our daughter, so thank you for watching her. And that's my mom, Patty, who's in the back. I really appreciate it.
I didn't see anyone wave. Where's Mom?
She's back in the office.
Oh, in the office?
Yes.
Oh, well, she watches on TV. Okay.
Thank you, Mom.
Very, very, very appropriate. Councilmember Swant, would you like to say something? Or Councilmember Bryan? Yes? Please, Councilmember Swant, you have the floor.
Thank you to all our central staff members who, as usual, have provided incredible support. Ali Panucci, Asha Venkatraman, Amy Gore, Keatle Freeman, Lisa Kay, Calvin Chow, Greg Doss, Karina Bull, Jeff Sims, Yolanda Ho, Patty Wygren, and Kirsten Aristed. and Dan Eder for everything that you have done to help my staff and me make available all the people's budget amendments and for your commitment on the issues. There are many people in the staff who worked on other parts of the budget, but these are, this is about the budget amendments, and I apologize if I left any names out accidentally. I definitely also want to thank Amy Gore specifically for doing the final drafts of our TNC and restorative justice amendments the last few days. I know that was rushed work, but it was done extremely well. I also thank council members who have supported the people's budget amendments, and I also thank the support we've had from activists around the city, and especially those of us who have really campaigned around the people's budget amendments. And I wanted to say, because it is also, this is a budget vote that we're taking after an incredibly historic election season where we had, for several months I was saying we have had everything but the kitchen sink thrown at us, and then the kitchen sink was also thrown at us. And we were able to prevail, and I think the people's budget, the successes that we have won through the people's budget movement, and this is the 6th iteration of the people's budget campaign that we have done this year, is a small but important example of what you can win when you build a really active movement. So I wanted to thank everybody who has campaigned not only for the people's budget demands this year, but for all the 6 years that we have done it. And I think it shows, and as I said, in a small way, but in an important way, the people's budget successes show that organizing works, that when you fight, you do indeed win. You don't win everything every single time, but it really works. Some of the specific examples that we have won that are prominent this year, but also have come on the shoulders of organizing for several years. Today, the Seattle Times has a really prominent article on the law enforcement assisted version, and Dan Beekman, one of the co-authors of the article, is right here, and I wanted to thank him also personally for his coverage for several years on many important issues. And just to make a distinction between the Seattle Times reporters and the Seattle Times editorial board, two totally different components. I couldn't resist that. But the progress that we have seen this year on the law enforcement assisted diversion, and undoubtedly I'm thankful to all the council members who have supported this, but narratives matter, and if our narrative is that a very generous council did this or that, I think it misses the point. As a matter of fact, expanding LEAD, and in fact having LEAD take form in the first place required community advocates to really, really push for it. Community advocates like Lisa Dugard and others who are sitting here who have played an incredible grassroots role. And I'm sure Lisa and others, you will remember the town hall that we did at the Miller Community Center on Capitol Hill several years ago, I think 5 years ago now. And there we built the initial pressure to expand LEAD from its original pilot in Belltown to Capitol Hill. And in fact, that meeting was momentous because I remember I was actually sort of modestly trying to say, okay, can we at least do Capitol Hill? And then we had representatives from the NAACP come there and say, why aren't you talking about the Central District? And that's how that took shape. And I think that's extremely important to recognize. Councilmember Mosqueda, you mentioned the tiny house villages. It's very important, and I thank you for standing in support of that. And I look forward to passing the bill next year to make the land use code flexible so that we can also make sure that tiny house villages can be sited throughout the city. And I thank you in advance for all your support on that one as well. And I'm excited about that. And thank you, Councilmember Bagshaw, for supporting this. But I also wanted to make clear that one of the key things that this council did, in contrast to what the mayor has done, which is really important, is take a really strong position against shutting down tiny house villages. And the initial proposal from the mayor has been to shut down Georgetown and North Lake. And we are absolutely, I think we are united in not shutting down Georgetown, but I also want to reiterate in solidarity with Nicholsville that we don't want to shut down North Lake either. I know that there are issues and we need to resolve those issues, but shutting down a tiny house village is not a solution. It's never going to be a solution. And I find it quite egregious that in the middle of a very cold winter, the mayor is proposing that December 9th is a date. I don't think that is viable, and I really appreciate community members, including housed community members like Carol and others, who have been here, who have said that they're going to be standing there, even engaging in nonviolent civil disobedience if that is needed. And of course, you can be sure my community organizers and I will be there in solidarity with them. I also wanted to say very clearly, we don't want to pit enhanced shelters against tiny house villages, because we do need to expand enhanced shelters also. But we have to be clear that the majority demand from people who have experienced homelessness is for tiny house villages. It is not for enhanced shelters. Let's be very clear about that. We've also seen incredible community organizing through the People's Budget from the Vietnamese Senior Association, and many of these seniors have put young people to shame by their enthusiasm and their energy, and I think they are not going to be stopping there. I think they want to fight for free public transit, among other things, and I'm really inspired by them. We were also able to win $15,000 for dedicated funding for Indigenous Peoples Day, and I'm glad to say Councilmember Juarez and I were able to push for that together. And Councilmember Herbold, you also already mentioned the mobile bathrooms. As Real Change said, everybody poos, and they have a chocolate cake, not a poo cake, to celebrate the poo victory. And very, very importantly, we were able to win funding for one city-funded attorney against evictions faced by renters. Last year, we saw just the unbelievable effectiveness in preventing evictions, and preventing evictions is one of the major things we need to do to prevent homelessness. And so we were able to win one attorney in the initial draft of the budget, and then because of continued organizing, we were able to win 2 attorneys funded, and I think that is incredible as well. We also have won 2 important statements of legislative intent. One supports the demands of workers and their unions in the film and music industry, and I really thank Doug Duma and the whole consortium of labor unions who have spoken up to be included. And also for another one that asked the Seattle Department of Transportation to make funding proposals to make public transit free for all. And I think this is an incredibly important component of a Green New Deal. We're not going to win a real Green New Deal and a reduction in carbon emissions unless public transit is made free for all. So it doesn't matter what income you have, what age you are, you get to ride on public transit. And finally, but not least, we have just won the $522,600 that community organizers and activists have been demanding for restorative justice programs like Community Passageways, Youth Consortium, Corner Greeters, and Creative Justice. And as I said this morning, I was so happy that Councilmember Bagshaw and I were able to co-sponsor that amendment. I'm glad we found a way to do that. And I wanted to really credit the community activists who have gone the extra mile to be able to win this, and they were right when they said in public testimony that this is only the beginning. Just to put this in perspective in numbers, the police get more out of the city's discretionary funding than any other department, $409 million. That is almost 1,000 times more than restorative justice programs the funding that we won this year around. So we're talking about the fact that we have a long way to go. The city is spending more money on motivational speaker training for police sergeants than it is on restorative justice at this moment. And so I think that's also important to recognize. So we have won incredibly important components, and as I said, I voted yes on the package of amendments that makes the mayor's budget proposal better, and I've been happy to support my colleagues' proposals as well. However, and this will come as no surprise to other council members, I'm going to vote no on the whole budget. So I just want to make it clear, I voted yes on all the amendments that make the budget more positive, but this is a vote on the budget as a whole, and I cannot, and I've never been able to, in good conscience, vote for a budget that, despite the gains that were won on the council, still represents changes on the margins. And when you compare the budget that is supposed to be a moral document to the social needs of our city and the deep inequality and racism in our city, it simply is not a moral document as far as what we have right now. It continues to rely on regressive taxes that burden poor and working class people, while corporations continue to get a free ride. It continues to fail to address the housing and homelessness crisis, despite the gains that were made through our amendments. It continues to prioritize repressive policing over actual justice to our communities of color. It prioritizes regressive measures like tolling, and I don't want to be told yet again that somehow there is some progressive way of doing it, because as an economist, I have never seen a congestion tolling that is progressive. If there is, I'm happy to support it, but as of now, that is just funding what the mayor has proposed is simply funding propaganda to push this idea rather than guaranteeing renters the right to a lawyer, and because it's not enough what we have won. Social service workers continue to be paid poverty wages in a city with some of the richest people in the world. So with all this in sight, the budget still fails to meet human need. And I really hope that because of the mandate that we have won this year, that movements will come back next year with renewed vigor, with strong statistical evidence that when you fight, you do win, because we saw that happening this year. Despite everything thrown at us, we were able to prevail. And I don't want us to rest on our laurels, and I hope that when January comes around, we will get back to serious organizing to win taxes on big business, to win rent control, and to make this city affordable and livable for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Swant. Before we proceed, I do want to remind all of my colleagues we do have a Parks Board meeting after this meeting, just to remind you. Councilmember O'Brien, would you like to say a few words on the budget?
I just want to thank Councilmember Bagshaw for your leadership in the last 2 years on this. You've done an amazing job of balancing the needs of people in our city and council members. You've, I think, done a very successful job of shepherding our interests in a way that gets all of us wins in the areas we want. You've also created space for us to have the public debate over issues and fight on those things that are really important. And that's not an easy balance. I've never tried to get that job in my 10 years here, and I'm grateful that you were willing to serve in that role, because I know it's a lot of work. So thank you, Councilmember Bagshaw.
Thanks, Councilmember O'Brien. Councilmembers on my right, Councilmember Gonzalez.
I'm going to be fast. So I wanted to thank Councilmember Bagshaw as well. So that's a good pickup for me. I just really appreciate the last 2 years of the process that you've shepherded us through and led us through. Really appreciate all your leadership and your ability to be able to prioritize so many different desires and needs from your colleagues up here. So really want to thank you for the work that you've done over the last couple of years to make sure that this is a successful process. Also want to thank Council Central staff. You guys are amazing and do really awesome work, and really appreciate your responsiveness and just the countless number of hours that I know that you all have worked to make sure that we have a balanced budget that really does reflect the council's priorities. So thank you all for that. I also want to thank my own staff, Cody, Brianna, and V, for all the hard work that they've been doing to make sure that our office's funding priorities are included in the budget. I just wanted to take a quick minute to go through some of the things that we're exceptionally proud of in terms of items that were included by the chair in the 2020 budget that we'll be taking action on now. We're really excited about being able to champion full funding for civilian-led police oversight agencies. We're stoked about being able to provide additional resources to the Regional Domestic Violence Firearm Enforcement Unit to get dangerous guns off of our streets. We have advanced several statements of legislative intent to implement reentry work group recommendations to support formerly incarcerated individuals who seek to reenter the economy. We have also included statements of legislative intent to examine the impact of our investments in the criminal legal system on communities of color and other vulnerable populations. We've included additional funding for hub-in-the-box emergency management communication stations across the city. We've included some funding for a public life study for the Capitol Hill Eco District to activate public spaces for climate resiliency and stronger community connections. We've allocated about $100,000 to address the diaper gap for families relying on shelters, tiny villages, food banks, and childcare facilities. We've also included some additional funding and direction to the Department of Education and Early Learning to expand birth to 3 childcare options, including investing in development of a comprehensive set of strategies to be able to expand access and affordability for Seattle families in the birth to 3 childcare category. We've directed that the expansion of additional child care assistance program dollars be prioritized for infant care. We've modified the ADU and DADU financing to make sure that it is within reach for low to middle income families with a racial equity lens applied to make sure that the future pilot doesn't unintentionally exclude communities of color. We have proudly championed a $750,000 pilot program, the Home for Good pilot program, to provide rental assistance to those individuals who may be on disability benefits and facing housing instability. Really want to thank so many of the advocates, the Seattle King County Homeless Coalition, for their advocacy and bringing the issue to us to really talk about why it was important for us to take this interim step. So this is a huge investment, really proud of it, really grateful for all of the collaboration both in City Hall and outside of City Hall to stand this up, and really looking forward to the impact that we're going to be able to have, the positive impact we're going to be able to have with that investment. And then lastly, we were able to establish a $375,000 resiliency fund to support our immigrant and refugee neighbors from ongoing and emerging threats from the Trump administration in partnership with the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs and so many of the community leaders who have identified that we need to be ready in 2020 for the ongoing attacks on immigrant and refugee folks who live in our city. So really honored to have been able to champion some of these additions to the 2020 budget, and really am grateful to Chair Bagshaw for hearing our priorities in my office and for including them in her budget. Really, really appreciate it, and really proud of the work that my team has been able to do through this budget process to make sure that this budget reflects our priorities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gonzalez. Councilman Herbold.
Thank you. In addition to appreciating, honoring, valuing, and just really not any words to say how helpful and useful the work of central staff has been through this budget process. Thank you, thank you. I want to thank also my staff, Alex, Newell, Jean, and Dimitri. Thanks to the budget chair for being very, very patient with me in particular, and not pushing too hard when sitting down in my office and hearing what my budget priorities are, my resistance to narrowing them down too much, and how patient you have been with me in my resistance to wanting to give anything up. So I'm really pleased with how this budget has resulted in important budget initiatives for my district, as well as for citywide issues that are really important to me. So as far as the District 1 specific proposals, I'm really excited that the D1 Community Network led the way to get funding for the West Marginal Way Safe Streets and accessibility improvements at the Duwamish Longhouse. Specifically, new funding for planning and design of that project, Really excited that we've been able, by working with the residents of South Park and the Public Safety Committee, that we've been able to continue funding for a South Park Public Safety Coordinator. That position is so important to that community and raising their voice to address their public safety needs in that neighborhood. Getting a commitment that we will receive some information from the Department of Neighborhoods on a strategy to develop a community-led, place-based violence prevention initiative in Westwood and South Delridge to help address some of the public safety issues there, and hopefully have it be modeled on the very successful Rainier Beach, A Beautiful Place, focused on young people in that community as a restorative justice approach. Also, putting forward the ongoing and continued focus on the work being done for the Rapid Ride H line. The budget actions that we've taken allow us to have continued focus on that work and make sure that the community's voice is heard. Finally, as it relates to District 1 issues, appreciate that the funding for a natural capital valuation study is included in this year's budget. This is led by the Seattle Green Spaces Coalition, something that they've been working on for 4 years now, to get the city to actually begin to consider the value of our natural assets in our planning process. And then as far as some of the citywide priorities I have, as well as community members related specifically to public safety and public health, we were successfully able to add funds for a third firefighter recruit class to address long-term staffing needs while also giving them the flexibility to expand the sizes of their 2 existing recruit classes. We've added funding to expand the encampment trash program of Seattle Public Utilities, allowing them to pick up garbage at more unsheltered encampment locations throughout the city. We have, as has been stated earlier, we worked with the Real Change Everybody Poos campaign to fund 5 mobile pit stops to increase access to bathrooms and hygiene centers. And then we've also added funding, again, in SPU for a pilot program of mobile pump-out services to RVs to limit the environmental damage to our waterways. As it relates specifically to homelessness and housing, as mentioned earlier, I appreciate having the opportunity to work with both council members Gonzalez and Juarez in getting some funding in two initiatives that they had already proposed to actually deal specifically with the needs for diaper distribution. On one area, diaper distribution in shelters, and in the other, diaper distribution hopefully in child care centers. We're also looking at in the area of housing, adding funding to the Department of Construction and Inspections for 2 new positions to support tenant and property owner outreach and education associated with the about 5 new pieces of legislation that we've passed in the last couple months. These new positions will allow Department of Construction and Inspections to support tenants in having their rights enforced under those laws. Also adding funding for renters' rights outreach and education organizing. Many thanks to Washington Can, Be Seattle, the Tenants Union, and Allyship in advocating for that work. And then our continued proviso on the navigation team appropriations in the Human Services Department so that this council can continue to have appropriate oversight over the work that's being done around engagement with people living in encampments and maintaining the public safety of the locations where those encampments are found. As it relates specifically to civil rights issues, appreciate the opportunity to direct existing funds to community-based organizations to respond to hate violence. as well as separately from that, requesting that the Office of Civil Rights spend a portion of its 2020 proposed budget on community-based organizations that will create restorative justice approaches to individuals committing hate crimes, and adding 2 new permanent positions for the Office of Civil Rights for a dispute resolution mediator and another to help with anti-discrimination and anti-harassment training. Many thanks in the area of transportation and utilities to Transit for All in their work to advocate for a report from the Human Services Department on how we can work to subsidize transit passes for employees of Human Services Department contracted service providers, as well as funding to Seattle Public Utilities to improve shutoff notification to tenants in multi-family buildings who often do not get advance notice of impending shutoffs. And then finally, in the area of economic development and arts and culture. Want to thank the workers and members of the labor movements representing the film and music industry folks, specifically looking to redirect admissions tax to OED specifically for a film and music program lead to help the film industry. Requesting that the Office of Economic Development provide recommendations regarding the creation of a film commission, imposing a proviso on the funding for the creative industry policy advisor position to require engagement with the film industry in developing the responsibilities for this position. And then lastly, related to arts, really appreciative of the ability to direct funding to support the Seattle Reps Public Works program for the opportunity for the Seattle Rep to work with many of our service provider and the recipients of services in our city to give them the experience of producing and participating in a live theater work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Herbold. Councilmember Pacheco, would you like to say any words on the budget? And I do have time reserved at the end of the agenda for you especially, but please.
Took the words from my mouth, but just thank Councilmember Bagshaw for leading a very inclusive process during his budget.
Thank you, Councilmember Pacheco. Okay, so let's vote on item number 32. Please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
No.
Bagshaw. Aye. Gonzalez. Aye. Herpel.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
8 in favor, 1 opposed.
Bill passed and Chair will sign it. All right. Thank you. Thanks for staying here, too. Please read items 33 and 34 together, short title if you can.
Agenda items 33 and 34, Council Bill 119691, relating to the levy of property taxes. The committee recommends the bill pass. Council Bill 119692, authorizing the levy of regular property taxes by the City of Seattle for the collection in 2020. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Okay, any questions or comments? We're good? Okay, please call the roll on the passage of Council Bill 119691.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herpel.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed and Chair will sign it. And any questions on number 34? If not, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herpel.
Aye.
Juarez.
Aye.
Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and Chair will sign it. Please read the report of the Sustainability and Transportation Committee.
The report of the Sustainability and Transportation Committee, agenda item 35, Council Bill 119704, relating to the Seattle streetcar. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Councilmember O'Brien.
Thank you. This, as I mentioned this morning, this is an interlocal agreement between the city and King County for operation of the existing streetcar systems. That's the one on First Hill, Capitol Hill, and the one in South Lake Union. This will renew the existing interlocal agreement, which expires at the end of the year. A couple of changes. One is this will be a 5-year agreement with an option for the city to extend the agreement for 2 more 5-year terms. We also be moving towards a monthly billing and reconciliation system as opposed to what had been an annual system for a while, and also shifting some of the maintenance requirements for the for the streetcar barns to the county.
Thank you, Councilmember Bryan. Any questions or comments? Now, please call the roll on the passage of the bill.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Sawant.
Aye.
Bagshaw. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Juarez. Mosqueda.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
President Harrell.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Bill passed, Chair of Senate. Please read the next agenda item.
Agenda item 36, Clerk File 314422, petition of Willow Crossing LLLP to vacate a portion of 39th Avenue South and South Willow Street. The committee recommends that the application be granted as conditioned.
Councilmember O'Brien.
Thank you. So this will vacate a portion of 39th Avenue South, just south of South Willow Street. This is for a private developer doing a affordable housing project, a little over 200 units at 60% AMI without city housing levy or other funds. They did get a loan from the city's acquisition fund to acquire the land. When the project's complete, they'll be paying that back. So there'll be no permanent city dollars, but we do get 20 years of permanent 60% AMI affordability for the 200 units. There are other public benefits, including public spaces and I believe a $25,000 donation to a project a block away that's a community-driven project to improve the streetscape. This project and the investment in that other project are all near the FL light rail station.
Thank you, Councilmember Bryan. Any questions or comments? If not, those in favor of granting the petition as conditioned, please vote aye. Aye. Those opposed vote no. The motion carries. The petition is granted as conditioned and the chair will sign it. We're going to move to item number 37. Please read 37 into the record.
The report of the City Council, agenda item 37, Council Bill 119288, relating to the city's criminal code. The committee recommends that the bill pass as amended.
Okay, Councilmember Herbold.
Thank you. I move that Council Bill 119288 be held indefinitely.
Second.
We've had discussion about this. It's been moved and seconded that this bill be suspended indefinitely. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion, please vote aye. 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 Raise your hand. All those opposed, say no and raise your hand. The motion has passed. Okay, I want to remind you we do have a meeting, so don't go far for the Parks Board. I do want to bring attention, I'll say other businesses. There is a little business I'd like to mention before we break, and as many of you know, this is Councilmember Pacheco's last visit with us here on the dais, and I'll just start off by saying it's been an absolute joy and pleasure working with you. I found you to be not only a hard worker and very serious about all of these issues, but a person with a certain level of consciousness. Voting is conscious, voting is values, and I respect that. And I want to say that I think we learn from you as well. Although I may have a few years on you, I've appreciated how you've navigated through the complexity of this job and did it with class. And so thank you for serving with us. And I'll be there with you off the council ranks soon as well, but I guess I'll have a few more weeks past you. But thank you, Councilmember Pacheco, for serving. Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to give Councilmember Pacheco the last word, unless anyone would like to say anything else. And I do have, this is the other business too, so if there's an excuse that I need to know about, let me know that as well. Would anyone else like to share a few thoughts or words with Councilmember Pacheco? And his mom and dad are here. She may want to make them shine a little bit. So.
Okay, well, I'm not going to let an opportunity to say thanks to Mom and Dad. So I appreciate very much the good son that you've raised. It's been a pleasure working with you, Councilmember Pacheco. Thank you for joining us, and I hope to see you off the dais and in other capacities in the future. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Bagshaw. Councilmember Mosqueda.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Councilmember Pacheco, for putting your name forward, for wanting to be in this seat, and for all the good work that you've done here. It's been an incredible honor to work with you. Thank you. And while I won't be here for your very last day, it's been truly a great pleasure to be able to see you in this role, and I'm sure we'll see you again. So thanks to you and your family. Good luck to your sister. And we really appreciate all the work that you do on behalf of D4. You've been a great representative. And just very quickly, thanks to all my colleagues as well. I won't be able to see you for the rest of the year. But thanks so much for all the work that you've done with our office and with me over the last 2 years. For those who aren't coming back, including Councilmember Pacheco, thanks for all that you've done. And I'll be trying to sit next to Councilmember Juarez next year because I know how much she likes sitting next to me in my speeches.
I love them.
But it's been really a great honor. So thanks to everyone and Councilmember Pacheco. We'll see you around. I'm sure. I have no doubt about it. Thanks for all your work.
Thank you, Councilmember Mosqueda. Councilmember O'Brien.
Thank you. Councilmember Pacheco, I'm not sure if this is totally accurate, but I remember first meeting you at a meeting in BKL downstairs a number of years ago. And you expressed at the time desires and your passion for making the city a better place. And I appreciate how you've shown up time and time again to live up to those values that I know you hold dearly. And having this brief opportunity to work with you, you served honorably, and it's a short stint, but it was great of you to step forward and be willing to do that. And I'm excited to see how our paths cross in the future. So thanks for your service.
Thank you, Councilmember O'Brien. Okay, Councilmember Pacheco, would you like to say a few words, please?
Well, thank you all for the, well, just really quickly, it has been just an amazing roller coaster to be serving alongside all of you, so thank you. I want to thank city staff, each of your offices for the opportunity to serve alongside you, and my own D4 team, Noah, Alyssa, Carlene, Mahalik, Connor, Jerry. Colleagues, this experience has been extremely rewarding and humbling. Over the last few months, we got to accomplish a lot together. CBA reform, amendments to build on the ADU and hotel workers ordinances, substantial investments to help survivors of domestic violence, a mobile food bank for low-income families in Magnuson Park, a much-needed elevator to meet the ADA needs inside the University Heights Center, $1.5 million for the relocation of the Roots Young Adult Shelter, funding to continue mental health outreach for the U District in Ballard, renewal fee assistance for DACA youth next year, $250,000 to help build Eli's Park, a park of all ages and abilities next to the Ronald McDonald House, and funding establishing a safe parking lot for individuals that are experiencing vehicular homelessness, slides and provisos that continue to build on the educational opportunities for students of color and low-income families, public safety and criminal justice, as well as green building standards that will keep moving the conversation forward for our city. And we did all of that together. I started this journey saying that I do my best to make you all proud, just like I told my parents when I moved from LA to come to Seattle. When I first moved to Seattle 9 years ago, I was alone and scared. The people and the institutions in District 4 shaped me since grad school, and it has been an honor to represent you and serve you. And it's been an honor to build on the legacy of Councilmember Johnson. Lastly, colleagues, every Monday we had a special viewer at 2 p.m., my mother. And she's here today on my last day, as well as my dad, because we'll be celebrating Thanksgiving together, and there's a lot for me to be thankful for. Not just this opportunity, but for both of them. My dream was to make a difference and to make my parents proud. Some of you have heard this story, but as a kid, I was so often in trouble. The dean of students had my dad's business card on his Rolodex. I was suspended more times than I can count, almost expelled twice. The journey over the last 14 years to be here has been incredibly rewarding. But I want to thank each of you. Each of you have given me such an invaluable experience and helped me grow not only as an individual, as a professional, but as a man. So thank you, all of you. And Mom, Dad, we get to go back to being private citizens and having fun, and I cannot thank you both enough. My dream was inspired by both of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Pacheco. Well done. Is there any further business coming for the council? If not, we will reconvene as the Parks Board at, I'll say, 5:15. All right. 5:15, we'll see you on the dais. With that, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.